Cleveland, an overcast Saturday afternoon. We will see some of the bright stars in baseball. Francisco Lindor, a tremendous shortstop for the Indians and for the Twins. Byung-Ho Park came over as a free agent, has been very, very good early on for the Minnesota Twins. It is the Minnesota Twins and the Cleveland Indians from Progressive Field here in this American League Central matchup. And hello everybody, Justin Kutcher alongside CJ Nikowski. And CJ, when looking at the Indians right now, so far this year, they haven't played their best baseball. But here they are, 17-15, second place behind the White Sox. And oh, by the way, today, they've got their ace on the hill.
It's always good news when Corey Kluber is on the mound for the Cleveland Indians. And this is the way they're going to try to win in 2016. It's going to be on the backs of their pitching. Now, the division is very difficult this year. The Chicago White Sox are a surprise team, and they're doing very well. And so the Indians are going to have to find a way to contend and compete with them over the course of this year. But it's going to be, like I said, all about that pitching for them. Runs are at a premium for this offense. But if Corey Kluber can get it going like he did a couple of years ago, the Indians will have a chance.
If he does get it going and it's against these Twins, that's not good news for Minnesota because, let's put it this way, they've struggled this year. They've lost 8 in a row. But when you look at this team, you've got to look for some positives. So what do you look at for this team and find the positives?
You have to when you have these kind of years, and I've been on these kinds of teams, and it's very easy to keep your head down. But there are a couple of things going pretty well for the Minnesota Twins right now. One of those things is that Joe Mauer is back, and it seems like the vision is much better than it had been, recovering from that concussion. Pitch recognition is up, the walks are up, the strikeouts are down. The other one, of course, that we mentioned, Byung-Ho Park, the guy that they bring over from South Korea, has shown tremendous power. He hit 2 huge home runs here last night. That is some good news as well for the Minnesota Twins. They got to get this thing turned around, stay focused on the positives. Joe Mauer, Byung-Ho Park have been 2 of those.
The high expectations after last year, the start to this year. Corey Kluber on the hill for the Indians. These teams have met 4 times, each game decided by 1 run. First pitch coming up next. CJ Nikowski. It is a chilly Saturday afternoon, 50 degrees. Corey Kluber on the mound for the Indians. And he will face a lineup that looks like this. Joe Mauer leading things off at first base. Eduardo Nunez at short will bat second. Miguel Sano in right field bats third. Trevor Plouffe, the third baseman, will bat cleanup. Young Ho Park will DH and bat fifth. Brian Dozier at second, bat sixth. Eddie Rosario in left field will bat seventh. Juan Centeno, the catcher, will bat eighth. And Danny Santana in center field will bat ninth. Corey Kluber against the Minnesota Twins. In his last 8 starts, the ERA under 3. The Twins are hitting just over 190 against them.
And that's probably what sticks out the most, a 192 batting average against. There are certain lineups that you're comfortable against, certainly certain ballparks. For Corey Kluber, he's done very well against the Minnesota Twins.
The defense behind Kluber in the outfield from left to right. Rajai Davis, Tyler Naquin, and Marlon Byrd around the horn in the infield. Mike Napoli at first, Jason Kipnis at second, Francisco Lindor at short, Jose Ramirez at third, and Yan Gomes is behind the plate. And we are all set to go. Joe Mauer will lead things off here against Kluber. And the first pitch from Kluber is a fastball. Missing low and inside for ball one. The umpires today behind home plate, Angel Hernandez at first base, Sean Barber, second base, Will Little, and Ted Barrett, the crew chief, is at third. There's a fastball in there for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike to Mauer, who has always had a good eye at the plate. 291, a home run, 9 RBIs. 1-1 is outside, 2-1.
And that's part of the reason why Joe Mauer is now leading off for this team. His ability to take those walks, like you mentioned, pitch recognition right there. It's a 1-1 count. He lets that fastball go that's just off of the plate. It might be a little bit unusual to see a runner like Joe Mauer leading off, but the Twins think it can work.
Mauer right back up the middle, line drive, single to get things going here for Minnesota.
Batting second for Minnesota, the shortstop, number 9.
Well, he puts himself in that good hitters count, 2-1. It's a 4-seam cutter right there. As you see that ball cut a little bit down and in, but in a 2-1 count, you got to catch most of the plate. Corey Kluber right now. I want to check those shorts a little bit. Are we allowed to say that?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
You okay? Doing all right. Might need a new pair of pants, but I'm doing okay. Eduardo Nunez will step in. Nunez playing shortstop here for the Twins. And this is how the game has changed so much. It used to be you want your leadoff guy to be a speedster. Well, Mauer's not the speedster, he's the on-base machine. Eduardo Nunez, his numbers. Nunez is a speedster, but he's batting second. Stolen base is not as important, apparently, in today's game. Trying to bunt, pops it up, easy play for Yan Gomes. 1 away.
And that was not a sacrifice bunt. That's Eduardo Nunez looking like he's trying to bunt for a hit, and as well as he's been swinging the bat, kind of surprising, 356 on the year. But a lot of times you're taught when you're bunting to never go up. You start at the top of the strike zone, so that what we just saw right there does not happen where you pop the ball up, and a wasted at bat right there for Nunez.
1 away now for Miguel Sano. And Sano is a guy who, it's so important for him not to take what he does defensively to the plate. His numbers, 234, 5 home runs, 14 RBIs. He has tremendous power. First pitch fouled back.
We've seen glimpses of it in 2016. We saw a lot of it last year, but this guy is big, he is strong, he can hit the ball a long way, and he made this ballpark look really small last night.
You know, it's really hard for me to come here to Cleveland and not think about one of my all-time favorite movies, Major League. And when someone says, what park is that not out of? Yellowstone?
That's out of every Major League ballpark, that is for sure.
Estimated at 460 feet. The fastball is low and outside. 1 ball and 1 strike.
We talked about positives in the open and things that you could look forward to for the Minnesota Twins, and certainly Miguel Sano is one of those, even though it has been a slow start. 18 home runs for him last year in just 80 games played. A little bit of an adjustment now that he's out in the outfield, but there's certainly time for him to get this turned around.
Good breaking ball there. 1 ball and 2 strikes from Kluber.
You see the breaking ball right there. It's kind of a hybrid of a cutter and a curveball. We were talking to Terry Francona, the manager of the Indians, prior to the game, and even he was like, "I cutter, curveball, slider. I'm not sure. This is breaking pitch."
Well, we know what that is. That was a fastball taken for strike 3 for out number 2.
This is a beautiful pitch right here from Corey Kluber, trying to go in and look at the glove, not even moving at all from Yan Gomes. And the curveball before sets that up. You throw the breaking pitch away, come back with the fastball in. It's a deadly combination.
2 away here in the first. Now for Trevor Plouffe. Fastball in the dirt. Good scoop by Gomes.
You talked about the speed and how we look at the leadoff hitter a little bit differently. Think 2 outs, a runner on. Would your leadoff hitter try to steal a base here? Not when it's Joe Mauer. Not when it's Carlos Santana. Things have changed a little bit in Major League Baseball. We look at the lineups a lot differently, and this is one of those times where it shows up, whereas a pitcher, you don't even have to worry about him going anywhere.
Off the end of the bat, 1 ball and 1 strike. Now, CJ, let's not go crazy. I mean, Mauer is 1 for 1 on the year in stolen bases.
Perfect. You don't want to ignore perfect, I guess. But I know if I'm pitching this game right now, I can completely get locked in to the hitter and Trevor Plouffe and not worry about at all what the runner at first base is doing.
Kluber looks into Gomes. Fastball blown right by him. 1 ball and 2 strikes. One ball, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Mauer on at first. The 1-2. Just missing. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Corey Kluber wanted that pitch, and if you're watching him and you're looking at the velocity, and maybe you're saying, well, this is not what we're used to seeing in Major League Baseball right now, is you see that little 4-seam cutter right there as he tried to go in. Corey Kluber will sit around 92, 93 miles an hour, but none of it is straight. Right? It's the 4-seam cut. It's the 2-seam that runs. You never know which way that ball is going to go.
2-2 breaking ball, a beauty, and he gets Plouffe looking. Back-to-back strikeouts looking for Kluber. No runs on 1 hit, 1 man left on. Indians coming up. lineup that he puts out for this game 2 of the 3-game series. Carlos Santana will lead things off. The DH, Jason Kipnis bats second. Francisco Lindor in the 3-hole, followed by Mike Napoli, Jose Ramirez, Marlon Byrd, bottom third, Yan Gomes, Tyler Naquin, and Rajai Davis against Irvin Santana. And the first pitch is inside to Santana. 1 ball and no strikes. Irvin Santana's numbers on the year: 0-2 with a 3.86 ERA. Making his second start since returning from the DL. He was on the 15-day DL with a lower back strain. And he is quickly behind in the count to Carlos Santana. 3 balls and no strikes.
And it's the one thing that has stuck out about Santana a little bit this year, is that walk rate has been up. We're not used to seeing that from him, but he is up over 4 this year. Not certainly where you want to be, especially for a guy that can be home run friendly.
3 balls and 1 strike to Santana. And ask for time. Carlos Santana on the season. He's hitting .226 with 5 home runs and 14 RBIs. And he draws a walk to lead off the first. The defense behind Irvin Santana in the outfield from left to right: Eddie Rosario, Danny Santana, Miguel Sano. Around the horn in the infield: Joe Mauer at first, Brian Dozier at second, Eduardo Nunez at short, Trevor Plouffe at third, and Juan Ceteno is behind the plate. Again, with Jason Kipnis coming up, .287, 4 home runs, 16 RBIs. With Carlos Santana on leading off, he is 2 for 3 in stolen bases, but not a real threat. And the first pitch, breaking ball, is in there for a strike to Kipnis.
And if you're wondering about Carlos Santana and why would Terry Francona feel comfortable having him lead off, he is the only hitter in Major League Baseball who has walked more than 90 times in each of the last 5 seasons. He is an absolute walk machine, and it has been consistent for him throughout his career.
No balls and 2 strikes to Kipnis. Breaking ball, good job by Kipnis to get a piece of it, because that was nasty.
Good slider down and in. We call that the back foot breaking ball. As a right-handed pitcher trying to throw that ball down and in, going for the strikeout. So now Irvin Santana has a couple of options here. He can try to locate a fastball off the plate to set up his next pitch. He could go with his changeup down and away, but the one thing you don't want to do here is throw a strike.
Fouled away again, stays 0-2. Kipnis checking the bat, making sure it's not broken. The 2 leadoff men, Mauer and Santana. I still can't get over it. Another 0-2. Inside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And let's see if that sets up something outside now for Irvin Santana.
Well, that's the purpose of that pitch. It's in off the plate 0-2. Try to get the hitter to move his hands, maybe move his feet. Now you have all kinds of options. You can go to that slider down and in. You can go to the changeup or fastball away. Looks like they're going to try to go in.
Breaking ball pulled. Mauer, the nice backhand play to second for 1, over to first. Irvin Santana gets there, but Kipnis beats it out.
It's never a fun play for a pitcher when you have to get over there and you know that it's going to be close. You're trying to get to the bag. You have to look for the throw. Irvin Santana got over there in plenty of time, did not hesitate. The only thing I saw in this was there wasn't much of a stretch from him. As we watch this here and watch Jason Kipnis get out of the box and bust it the entire way. But watch Santana. Not really much of a stretch there. Just kind of let that ball come to him. Had he gone out there and stretched, maybe they would have had a chance. And looks like maybe they'll waste a little time to see whether or not they want to challenge that.
Joe Mauer is looking into the dugout to see what they want to do.
This has been a little bit of an issue, I think, for fans as they watch games and saying, okay, we understand instant replay is good for the game, but how do we speed it up? This is part of the problem, I think, right here as we watch this replay. I think he's out. They're probably going to get this thing overturned, and it is going to replay. But the process of making this happen faster. You and I are sitting here in this booth. We have watched a replay. We know that Jason Kipnis was out, and we know that there was 2 outs. let's see how long now it takes the umpires to get this and keep this game moving.
An early challenge here by Paul Molitor and the Twins. If it is reversed, it will be a 3-6-1 double play, and that shot right there, that to us seems pretty obvious, pretty evident that it will be overturned.
The way that the rule is written is that the ball has to be in the back of his glove. Not that it goes through his glove, but you actually have to see that baseball hit the back of his glove, and they got it right.
The call is overturned, a 3-6-1 double play. And now the bases are empty for Francisco Lindor. This is a guy who, I don't know about you, but I am very, very excited to watch in person.
Oh, without a doubt. And I've seen him before, and he's an exciting player. He made a great play last night. We saw barehanded. He's a two-way player. And obviously, he's hitting third in the middle of this lineup. Defense is a plus. The offense has been really good as well. And a kid who's still learning the game. He's so young at 22 years old. And so there's still a lot going on here with Francisco Lindor. But I think we are looking at one of the great shortstops over the next decade. There has been a renaissance in Major League Baseball with these guys at that position.
Down low and in, 2 balls and a strike here to Lindor. 299, 2 home runs, 13 RBIs for a 22-year-old shortstop who, when you look at him, you don't think would be a 3-hole hitter. Pop foul, headed towards the seats. Plouffe gives it a look. 2 balls and 2 strikes. How about the keys to the game today, sponsored by Ford?
A couple things I'm keeping an eye on, and I'm talking about looking for an opening if you're the Minnesota Twins. In the case of Corey Kluber, he's pitched well, but there have been times where he struggled just a little bit, a few batters. You have to take advantage of that. And on the Cleveland side, follow the leader, and that leader is Mike Napoli, who was hitting .368 versus Irvin Santana in his career with 3 home runs. But not only that part of it, but as we talked to Terry Francona before the game, he has also taken on a leadership role in this clubhouse, both how he leads by example, but also vocally. He said he has been the perfect fit for this team.
Broken bat flare off the glove of Plouffe, and Lindor will reach base. Let's wait to see what this is.
Trevor Plouffe will be the first one to tell you that he probably should have caught this ball. We'll see how it's scored. He did leave his feet, and so more often than not, anytime a fielder leaves his feet, you do not see an error called, especially on a dive or a play that he's sliding. But because he kind of jumped, I have a feeling they may give this a hit. We'll see.
It has been ruled a hit. So a 2-out single, a broken bat single for Lindor, and that brings up Mike Napoli, who, like you said, has those good numbers against Santana. The first pitch breaking ball is outside.
The OPS is 1,000. I mentioned the 3 home runs, and probably more importantly, I think here for the Cleveland Indians is just what Mike Napoli has done to this clubhouse, to this team, and also as you see the 7 home runs, what he has done to this offense.
Look over to first. Lindor on the season, 6 for 7 in stolen bases. Mike Napoli signed by the Indians in the offseason, and Terry Francona said that Dustin Pedroia told him, you've got to get this guy. You will love him. Lindor bluffs, a big swing and a miss by Napoli.
Well, based on that conversation, I think that tells you everything you need to know about how Dustin Pedroia felt about Mike Napoli as a teammate. And it's always nice when you have those relationships from previous organizations where you can lean on former players, former coaches, former front office people to get a little bit of a better read on a player and what they can actually bring to the table besides just what you're analyzing in their numbers.
1-1 fastballs outside. 2 balls and a strike here to Napoli. 2 outs, bottom half of the first, no score, Twins and Indians. Pretty remarkable that the 4 games these teams have played so far, they've split 2 games apiece, and each game has been decided by 1 run. Breaking ball misses inside, and it's 3 balls and a strike to Napoli. Jose Ramirez on deck. 3-1, another big swing and a miss there from Napoli. 3-2.
You knew the eyes were going to light up in that 3-1 count, an opportunity, and most likely getting a fastball in the first inning. Mike Napoli has never been one to shorten up his swing, especially in that kind of count. And fortunately for Ervin Santana, he was able to get it past Napoli.
Throw back over to first with a full count, 2 outs. Lindor will be off with the pitch. So Santana just trying to keep him a little bit closer. There goes the runner. Napoli in the air to center field. Santana came in, now goes back out and makes the catch to end the inning. Napoli hit it hard, but Santana makes the play. Coming up, Young Ho Park hit 2 home runs last night. What will he do for an encore? He leads off in the second. Top of the second, no score. Byung Ho Park to face Corey Kluber. And the first pitch fastball from Kluber's in there, first strike. The numbers on Park: 245, 9 home runs, and 15 RBIs on the year. He had 2 of those 9 home runs last night. Good slider, as Park was way out in front of that. 0-2.
It's interesting in that swing right there. As we were talking to Paul Molitor before, he said sometimes Byung Ho Park will take an ugly swing. He said a lot of times that is because he will become a guess hitter, and certainly guessing something else there.
He wasn't guessing fastballs. He took that, and that's 3 strikeouts in a row for Kluber going back to the first.
And not only 3 strikeouts in a row, but 3 strikeouts looking, and that tells you all you need to know about the stuff. This is a fastball that starts out on the corner, maybe even off the plate, and Byung Ho Park sees it there, and then it runs right back across the middle. And like you said, probably not looking for that pitch. 0-2.
1 away now for Brian Dozier. The second baseman off to a slow start. 0-1. Dozier, 225, 4 home runs, and 14 RBIs. Not typical Brian Dozier numbers for sure. Pop foul out of play, behind the count, 0-2.
I think the one thing with Dozier is that you know you're not going to get the high batting average. That's not necessarily what he does, but you certainly get great home run production from him, as you see right there, the 240 batting average, but it's the 75 home runs that stick out over those 4 years.
Missing inside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Starting to rain again here at the ballpark in Cleveland. Rain has been on and off all day long, really, and they thought we'd have a good window to get a game in. A ground ball up the middle with the shift. It's KIPNIS behind the bag, 2 away.
And as we talk about Corey Kluber, and as you guys watch him today, think about his pitch selection. It's pretty interesting. This is a guy who throws 56.6% fastballs, and then the other 21% in that group are cutters. So predominantly, most of his pitches are hard, and you're looking at 77, 78%, Justin, as my math, as I do it off the top of my head. Mostly fastball, so mixing that curveball and that changeup. But the fastball and the cutter don't have a ton of speed differential from them, and like I said, he'll also mix in that 2-seamer. So it's a lot of hard stuff going in a bunch of different directions.
Eddie Rosario hits with 2 outs and fouls the first pitch back, 0-1. Rosario has had 96 at-bats on the season, 19 hits, hitting 198. That's what my math leads to.
It's easy when you just get to read it.
Outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. I didn't know you were a math major at St. John's.
How about it, bud? I actually majored in baseball, but I did pay attention to a little bit of my math when I was there.
You're a pitcher, so you had to know math to calculate your ERA.
Well, that one, of course.
Good breaking ball. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Terry Francona has to be happy with what he has seen from Corey Kluber so far through the first 6 hitters that he has faced. Looking really sharp right now.
1-2, and there's his first strikeout of the swinging variety. A 1-2-3 inning for Corey Kluber. He gave up a leadoff hit to Mauer, nothing since. Bottom second, Jose Ramirez takes the first pitch fastball inside from Irvin Santana. Ramirez playing third base today, 309, a home run and 12 RBIs. Down low, ahead in the count, 2 balls and no strikes. And their first strike, 2-1.
One of the things you have to like about Irvin Santana is the tempo in which he pitches. Pitching coaches, managers love this. Gets the ball, you watch him look right back on the pitching rubber, doesn't waste a lot of time at all. Looking in, you see Jose Ramirez actually putting his hand up and asking for just a little bit of time in between pitches.
Tries to go back-to-back breaking balls. Ramirez lays off that. Now 3 balls and 2 strikes to Jose Ramirez. In the air, left field. Rosario came in, now has to drift back and makes an easy play a little more difficult. Come on out to the ballpark this weekend for Major League Baseball's first annual Play Ball Weekend, proudly supported by Chevrolet and Scott's. For more information on play ball weekend activities and to get your tickets, visit MLB.com/tickets. I don't know about you, but it was never difficult to get me to go out to a ball game.
Absolutely not. It was a treat and a pleasure. And as a kid, I got to go anywhere from 2 to 4 times a year to go watch a Yankee game growing up in suburban New York City, and those are great memories. And I say this a lot because we talk about this weekend now and getting out and people playing ball, but just even watching games, we're so busy, right? We are so busy these days. We look at our phones. We spend a lot of time with our electronics. A baseball game is a perfect place to come out and spend a couple of hours with your family, with your kids, where they're forced to stay with you. They can't run off and do something else, and it's really a great family experience because of the pace of how baseball works. A lot of sports don't offer you that opportunity. Baseball is very special in that way.
1 ball, 1 strike to Marlon Byrd off the glove of Santana. 2-1. I mean, going to ball games as a kid, that was the highlight of my spring and summer.
Absolutely, I'm with you. I still have those memories of walking through the corridors of Yankee Stadium. And as you're walking to your seats, you get to peek through a little bit and you see that little glimpse of the field and the greenest grass you have ever seen. Those are terrific memories that never go away.
A 2-1 from Santana, foul tipped into the mitt of Centeno. 2 balls and 2 strikes. I would average about 4 Yankee Stadium hot dogs per game.
That doesn't surprise me at all.
1 pretzel on the way in, a pretzel on the way out.
I don't know where you put it, dude.
2-2 fouled back.
You have like that. What is his name? Joey Chestnuts. What's the guy's name?
Yeah.
You have that in you for sure. You could be that guy because it doesn't make any sense. For those of you who've never seen Justin Kutcher, he's not a large man. A little bit more on the, I don't know, smaller side. I hope you don't find that offensive, but you eat.
I'm highly offended right now.
Like you weigh about 350 pounds.
Down the third baseline, foul. Stays 2 balls and 2 strikes to Byrd. But that wasn't the point. The point was how much I enjoyed going to the ball games. And while I was there, I can remember when I first started going to Yankee games, it was like $2 for a hot dog. My last time as a kid, it was like $4.50 or $5, and I used to feel bad being like, man, my parents had to spend like $25 to $40 just for my hot dogs now.
Yeah, that's a good point, and I think that's why you should maybe think about paying them back for all the hard work that they put in.
2-2 fastball. Santana thought he had strike 3. Angel Hernandez didn't ring him up, so now it's back-to-back full counts.
A lot of times when you miss location, but the ball still ends up being a strike, the umpire will miss that. I think that was the case there.
3-2. Santana takes care of it himself, blows it right past Marlon Byrd for the first strikeout of the game for Santana.
Good looking fastball here, 3-2 count. You're not going to try to do too much. Irvin Santana just thinking about splitting the plate. You see Marlon Byrd in his reaction. Ball's got a little bit of run, but he felt like that was one he could get to. See the facial expression right there. Marlon Byrd, a big hit last night for this team as he drilled a double late in the game. He's done a really nice job for a guy that was a non-roster late signee this past spring training.
Byrd had the big hit last night. Yan Gomes at the plate came through with a big hit. He had a home run, his 4th of the year in the 2nd inning as he takes a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. And that was a big hit for him just mentally. The numbers aren't good offensively. The average 163, swings and misses, 1 ball and 2 strikes. But what Terry Francona says about him is the offense has not affected his defense at all. What he does behind the plate is huge for these Indians.
And the way that he said it too told us everything we needed to know, which is that that's uncommon, that he's used to seeing catchers and been around catchers who take their at-bats out to the field.
A good slider by Santana, strikes out the last 2 batters. We go to the 3rd, no score. The last 5 men that he has faced. Top of the third, Juan Centeno will face Kluber. Centeno 3 for 8 on the season. And the first pitch is high and outside for ball 1. Fastball's outside. Gomes, he pumped twice, throwing that ball back to Kluber. He thought he had a strike.
I think early on when you have a dispute with an umpire, you don't want to show him up too much. You don't want to show too much emotion, but at the same time, you do want that message to get across.
Now it's 3 balls and no strikes.
Although Angel Hernandez has been around this game for a long time, and you're probably not going to influence him one way or the other.
A 4-pitch walk issued to Juan Centeno leading off this 3rd inning. Time for a game break. Let's go back to LA and check in with Kevin Burkhardt.
The center fielder, number 39, Danny Santana.
Is that Hanley being Hanley?
I mean, I'm not looking at the box score. I'm not watching the game. I'm going to guess that they had a pinch runner, at least I hope, because trying to bunt with David Ortiz on third base, that's a recipe for disaster.
Danny Santana, 246, a home run, 4 RBIs. Took the first pitch for a strike. Playing in at third is Ramirez, anticipating a bunt. Not bunting, swinging away, popping one up. Down the left field line, long run. Lindor is over in fair territory to make the play. 1 away now for Joe Mauer. And Mauer, you think back to when he first came up and all the way up through his MVP season of '09, people were talking about him being maybe the greatest hitting catcher of all time. And all of a sudden he had the concussion, his numbers have decreased. But the good thing, as you mentioned in the open, is this year he's starting to see the ball better again. His average is back up. The home run numbers were never there other than that MVP season.
They weren't, and change of ballpark certainly didn't help him either, going to Target Field, which plays very big, and especially for left-handed hitters. But Joe Mauer had the concussion issues, and for a couple of years they were lingering, and he was having eyesight issues. And there's a very interesting story about how he has decided, or what he has worked on to try to correct this. And he's using these what they call strobe glasses, which are basically glasses that will go dark on you, and to try to retrain his brain and to help him keep his head still. And the eyesight has been a lot better. The walk rate is up, the strikeout rate is down, and Joe Mauer right now, although the power still is not there, is a much better version of Joe Mauer than we have seen the last 2 years.
And it's really sad what has happened to Mauer, because he was truly one of the great stars in the game, and a hometown kid, first overall pick for the Twins, and it was a feel-good story. And all of a sudden when they signed him to that contract, it looked like a positive, right? The Twins, a small market team, get to keep their star, and that contract has come back to actually hurt them.
Well, they've always been a small market team, but they've had very financially successful ownership, but they stay within the boundaries of what they want to spend. They spend within their market, as opposed to, say, maybe the Detroit Tigers are in a similar situation, but they have an owner in Mike Ilitch who is not afraid to spend some of his own money to try and win. The Twins don't do things that way. They keep their business model, so when they extend themselves and sign a guy like Joe Mauer, it has to work over the length of that contract in order for this team to be successful.
3 balls and 1 strike to Mauer. 1 away. Top of the 3rd inning here in Cleveland. No score, Twins and Indians. Game 2 of this 3-game series here. Last night the Indians won in come from behind fashion, 7-6. The Twins, they've lost 8 in a row, 2-16 on the road this year. Fastball called for a strike at the knees. Now Mauer is not happy with home plate umpire Angel Hernandez.
Well, you're getting this on both sides, right? You're getting pitchers who were complaining at least a little bit, or at least giving Angel Hernandez a second look on some pitches that they thought there were strikes. Now we're talking about Joe Mauer, who's got great plate discipline, great pitch awareness, thinking that 3-1 pitch was a ball.
The 3-2 inside out to left field. That'll fall in front of Rajay Davis. Holding up at second is Centeno. So Mauer is 2 for 2 against Kluber. He is the only guy to get a base hit so far for the Twins against Kluber.
This is a great job on a 3-2 pitch. A lot of guys, they'll get big eyes and they try to yank out of the ballpark. But look at Joe Mauer. The fastball, actually a cutter, ends up coming back down and in. But instead of trying to pull it, he keeps his hands in, just tries to get the barrel to the ball himself. A nice line drive to left field.
First and second, one out now for Eduardo Nunez, who tried to bunt for a base hit his first time up and popped it foul. Easy play for Yan Gomes. Twins threatening here in the third. No balls and one strike.
Nunez is having an interesting season. First of all, you're seeing a bump in his offense. This is not a guy that has sat around up over 300 at any point in his career, but the splits are very interesting. You look at Nunez as a right-handed hitter, struggling against lefties, hitting just 167 against them this year, but 385 against righties coming in. Doesn't make any sense.
Ground ball, second base, Kipnis to Lindor to first, and a 4-6-3 inning-ending double play. First and second, one out. They couldn't get it done. When we come back, we'll be joined in the dugout by Twins starter Phil Hughes. Tyler Naquin leading things off against Irvin Santana, drops the curveball in there for strike one. Naquin on the season, 315, 17 for 54, no home runs and 2 RBIs. Ground ball, Tapper past Santana. Plouffe was late to react. Nunez the bare hand, and an infield single for Tyler Naquin. A delayed reaction there by Trevor Plouffe allowed the base hit for Naquin, as we now welcome Phil Hughes, who's joining us from the Twins dugout. And Phil, thanks for joining us. Appreciate the time. Everyone knows the struggles the Twins have gone through this year. So for you, for the guys in the clubhouse, what do you say on a day-to-day basis to get things going back in the right direction?
Well, I mean, that's the difficult part. You know, we try to stay positive, stay smiling, having fun playing this game. Because as you guys know, if we start, you know, getting down in the dumps and the mood's not good in the clubhouse, then this thing's just going to snowball, and that's not a good thing. So we just have to stay as positive as possible and treat every day like we're 0-0 and not worry about our record.
Broken bat in the air by Davis. Santana slips, but he's able to get back up, and back to first goes Naquin.
Well, I guess that's one way you can have a little bit of fun, is by making fun of your center fielder slipping down, and still making that catch. Is that the kind of thing that you have to do? I mean, ultimately, you guys have to go get it done on the field, as you know. That's always part of it. But the little things about maybe trying to keep guys loose, is that something that maybe you try to do once in a while with this
absolutely.
group?
Make fun of each other. I mean, we've found about every way to lose this year so far, and you know, if you can't make fun of yourself, then you know, it's going to be a long season. So yeah, we try to keep it light, keep it positive, and see how it goes. I mean, we're playing with house money at this point. All you can do is go out there and have fun.
Phil, this is now your third year playing in Minnesota. What has it been like for you going from a huge market in New York to Minnesota? In your first year, I mean, you put up really good numbers at 16 and 10. Mauer to second for one, back to first. Well, Phil, the good news is if you join us, the game will go by really quickly.
I love it. I don't have to answer that question either.
The quickest inning in history. Phil, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
Half of the third, 5-pitch inning for Ervin Santana, and that was after giving up a base hit. Miguel Sano will lead things off here against Corey Kluber. No score into the fourth. And the first pitch fastball in their first strike, 0-1. Sano struck out looking his first time up. The first of 3 in a row struck out looking by Kluber, and Sano could not hold up on that breaking ball. Behind the count, 0-2.
Tell you what, I thought that pitch might have even been a strike on the pitch. It looked like it caught the outside corner, but more importantly now for the Minnesota Twins, they have to be very careful, because Corey Kluber looks like he is about to get locked in and go on a roll. He has been very solid from the beginning of this game, and he continues to look very solid and very comfortable right now.
You know, you look at Corey Kluber in his last start, his worst start in a long time. At Houston, went 2 2/3, 5 hits, 5 runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. But the start before that, he had a complete game, 5-hit shutout against the Tigers. Whoa, watch out.
That sounded like it hit something, as you see Francisco Lindor with his hands on his head. I don't know if it caught the bat or if we just heard it hit off the glove as we watch a replay here. Two-seam fastball that gets away. And it was actually Yan Gomes' glove is the sound that we heard. That'll scare you a little bit.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Sano. And what wouldn't be nice if his Kluber comes back with a breaking ball outside.
It's pretty much the game plan and the smart play. We'll see what he decides to do.
Goes fastball low and outside. Now 3 balls and 2 strikes.
You mentioned the outing, and remember last year Corey Kluber got off to a slow start. And then he had that 18 strikeout game that seemingly came out of nowhere. You know what's in there, but early on in his career, April may have not been his strongest months.
Sano pops one up, shallow right. Coming in is Bird by the line, there to make the catch. 1 away. Tomorrow, NASCAR is back on FS1 as the circuit heads to the Monster Mile at Dover for Sprint Cup Series racing as Jimmy Johnson looks to defend his title from last year. It's all at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, only on FS1, or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. Trevor Plouffe comes up. He struck out looking his first time up. Another good breaking ball.
Terry Francona mentioned as we talked to him before the game is about how well Corey Kluber can shape his breaking ball, and that essentially means that moving it the way that he wants it to move in different directions, whether it goes a little bit more horizontal, whether it goes a little bit more vertical, it's a pitch that he has great feel for.
On the outfield grass, Lindor battling the wind makes the catch. 2 up, 2 down here in the 4th. Follow live baseball with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at-bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet. Two away now for Byung Ho Park. Fastball misses inside for ball 1.
This is looking like a really good investment here for the Minnesota Twins. Of course, last year we saw Jung Ho Kang come over from Korea, the first hitter to come from the KBO directly to Major League Baseball. He did a great job, and so the Minnesota Twins looking in the market and see Byung Ho Park, and they sign him up to a 4-year, $12 million contract. That $3 million a year is below the average Major League salary, and so far so good. The power that he had in Korea has translated here in Major League Baseball.
Inside, 2 balls and 1 strike. Now, of course, with Park, what it has done is created almost like a log jam of players, and where do you fit these pieces into this puzzle? A breaking ball foul, 2 balls and 2 strikes. The American League rookie home run leaders, Park has a comfortable lead with 9 after hitting 2 last night. But the issue with Park coming over is now you have to move Miguel Sano and make him play the outfield. Up and in, 3 balls and 2 strikes, and Sano has not been comfortable out there. Plouffe is still at third base. Park is DHing. He could also play first base. Mauer plays first base. So what do you do? How do you fit these pieces to make the correct puzzle?
It's been difficult for Paul Molitor. I think it's been an absolute challenge, and the biggest mystery has been the Miguel Sano piece of this, because he goes into right field. He's not an outfielder. He's a big guy, and so you know you're probably not going to get great defense. He has struggled out there defensively, and without a doubt it has affected his offense, and so that's probably been the biggest issue. Now, if he can get right field figured out and hold it down decent enough, just like you saw Kyle Schwarber go to left field with the Chicago Cubs, even though he's hurt now, you're just looking for average defense, but it not affecting his offense. Well, that has not been the case here in Minnesota, and so they are going to have to figure this out. If it doesn't work out, they're probably going to have to move one of those guys that you mentioned.
Brian Dozier at the plate with 2 outs, and he takes that first pitch slider. First strike. Dozier grounded out to second his first time up, but it was really right up the middle, but the shift worked with Jason Kipnis playing behind the bag. Fastball is down low, 1 ball and 1 strike.
more often than not, when you take an infielder and put him in the outfield, it's usually in left field. Right field is a premier position defensively. You need a lot of things to happen out there. And Sano has the arm, but that's certainly part of it. But getting reads on balls has been a little bit of an issue for him. And I've heard guys talk about this before. When they change positions, they understand it's best for the team. But when you're not contributing defensively and you're actually hurting the team defensively, you get embarrassed. And it can be really tough on guys. And Miguel Sano right now, I think, is realizing that struggle.
2 balls, 1 strike to Dozier. Ground ball, third base. Ramirez will go to second for the easy out, and that will do it. No runs on no hits, 1 man left on. When we come back, Francisco Lindor bats second in a scoreless game here in Cleveland. Jason Kipnis will lead things off here in the 4th for the Indians against Urban Santana. And the first pitch, breaking balls in there for a strike. 0-1. Kipnis grounded into that 3-6-1 double play back in the 1st. That the Twins challenged because he was ruled safe initially. And they went to the replay and they saw that it was clear he was out. Low and inside, 2 balls and a strike.
Kipnis, a guy who has more of those traditional splits, has struggled against left-handed pitchers this year, but as he faces the righty Santana, 329 coming into today's game.
Ahead in the count, 3 balls and 1 strike. 50 pitches for Urban Santana through 3+ innings. He's had a lot of 3-ball counts already. Pop foul out of play, 3-2.
He has, but you know, when you watch those games where you get guys that'll be behind in the count constantly and it feels like it's taking forever. I know you and I have both called and watched, and I even participated on the wrong end of some of those games. But Urban Santana is keeping that good pace, and I think that's the one thing that is sticking out. And so even though he's gotten behind a few guys, it doesn't feel the same, or it doesn't feel where he's laboring. The pace has still been really, really good. And again, pitching coaches love that. Your defenders love it. The guys sitting behind you, even if you are having a little bit of an issue with strikes, you're keeping them in the game by keeping the game moving.
5 full counts already for Santana. And that was foul tipped in and out of the mitt of Santana.
And you heard him kind of gesture there. It's something, I think, in Spanish, because he felt like he should have been able to catch that ball. And for me, I'm always amazed that catchers can hold on to those foul tips. I guess it's a skill of having good hands, but if that ball is going to change direction and coming at the speed that it's coming at the last second, it just absolutely fascinates me that they ever catch foul tips.
3-2, pulled to first. Nice high bounce for Mauer. One away. That brings up Francisco Lindor. We talk about the emergence of the young shortstops in Major League Baseball as renaissance of sorts. And Lindor is in that list, in that group of studs.
If you're a fan right now, you're very lucky to be watching, I think, what we're seeing here in Major League Baseball. You and I, as fans a decade or so ago, got to enjoy it with Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, Nomar Garcia-Parra, Miguel Tejada. We had such great shortstops for a while. Who did I forget? You're looking at me like I forgot somebody.
That was 2 decades ago.
Oh, sorry. Well, I like to say
That's how
trying to make us feel
is.
young, man. Come on. But all those great shortstops at that time, especially in the American League, there were so many of them, and now we're seeing it again. And there's a name that's not even, that couldn't make our list. Ketel Marte up in Seattle is doing a really nice job as well. But it's been nice to see, if you're a fan of good young players, all of those guys on that list are worth watching.
Pulled down the first baseline. Mauer with a diving stop and flips to Santana. Very nice play by the super athlete in Joe Mauer.
Well, this was an incredible play. We talk about him playing first, no longer catching anymore, and you think, well, you're going to get subpar defense. Absolutely not here from Joe Mauer. This ball hit right down the line. It's full extension. Fields it cleanly. Good awareness to turn and throw that ball. And he is just hoping that Ervin Santana is there, because every baseball player has that clock in their head. They know how much time they have, and he knew that he had to get rid of that ball right away in order to get Lindor out. Very nice play.
People forget that Mauer was offered a full ride by Bobby Bowden at Florida State to be their quarterback. Instead, he chose baseball. I think after signing his contract, he made the right decision.
Yes, absolutely.
2 outs now for Mike Napoli, and Napoli fouls one off the instep, 0-1. But think about this. Derek Jeter, Alex Rodriguez, that was 1996. Nomar Garcia-Parra. It's now 2016. It is scary that it's 2 decades ago when we first started talking about that. The heyday, the greatest time for shortstops in baseball history.
It was a really good time, but I think, things happen. I think things go in cycles, and we went through a period where we were not seeing the replacements that we thought we were going to see as those guys started coming off of shortstop. Obviously, Derek Jeter played a really long time and stayed at that position. Alex Rodriguez went off that position. We saw Nomar near the end of his career and a lot quicker than these other guys have, but it's part of the game, and I think it's just, we go in cycles sometimes, and it's really nice to see the development of these guys. But think about this, you mentioned it as we watched the replay of this foul tip that Mike Napoli catches right off the top of his foot. But think about it. So it was 20 years ago when these guys, were young and just being born, a lot of them. They were watching these guys, right? We hear Carlos Correa talk about Derek Jeter, and we hear even, Troy Tulowitzki, of course, went through as a Derek Jeter fan. So they got to watch it, and now we're kind of seeing these guys now come into their own at the major league level.
The 0-1 to Napoli misses inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. You ever think about what would have happened for A-Rod had he not gone to the Yankees and not switched to third base?
I mean, I think he would have been there eventually anyway, just because of his size, because he's a big shortstop. Obviously, I played with him in Texas. I played with him in New York, and without a doubt, one of the biggest shortstops I've ever played with physically. I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I think eventually he would have moved off of that position anyway. Just probably, obviously, would not have happened immediate like it did when he went to New York.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Napoli. 2 outs here in the 4th. No score. Twins and Indians. Justin Kutcher alongside C.J. Nitkowski from Progressive Field, although it'll always be the Jake to me. Napoli in the air, straightaway center. Santana going back. It's over his head. 1 hops the wall. Napoli heading into second, will be in there with his 9th double of the year.
Well, I guess the foot is fine for Mike Napoli. As we saw earlier, that foul tip off the top of his left foot. This was loud. I thought this had a chance potentially to get out as he takes, looks like a fastball right down the middle. They were actually trying to elevate. He did not miss the glove, which will make you rethink what your strategy was right there for Mike Napoli. But listen to this. That is loud, and that's the kind of sound that pitchers never forget. But I don't know if I necessarily like the idea of trying to elevate a strike on Mike Napoli there for Ervin Santana. If you're going to go up, it's got to be up out of the zone.
The 200th career double for Napoli. He's in scoring position with 2 outs now for Jose Ramirez. Ramirez flew out to left field, his first time up. Out in front of that pitch. No balls and 2 strikes.
Ramirez at third base today. He is now kind of slid into that utility role. Juan Uribe is not at third, or is at third. Then Jose Ramirez will go out to left and probably will get a little bit more playing time now with Michael Brantley going down.
And the dirt. Santana able to make the stop. 1 ball and 2 strikes. You mentioned Michael Brantley. He's going to go see the doctor who performed the surgery on Tuesday. Test came back and nothing new to develop or has formed for Brantley. Little flare, shallow left, and that's going to drop in for a base hit. Napoli comes in to score an RBI single for Ramirez. And that was just perfectly placed. A late break by seemingly everyone there. Rosario from left, Nunez from short.
Well, this is what happens when you don't hit the baseball on the barrel of the bat. You fool the fielders, and as you see Jose Ramirez, he was jammed on that ball, hit it just above the label, and hit it just soft enough. If he squares that ball up just a little bit, it's probably a routine fly ball, but because he caught it in on the hands, the ball just died. Mike Napoli with 2 outs easily scores on that base hit, and the Indians are the first to break through.
So look over to first to Ramirez. That's the second time, though, we've seen Trevor Plouffe kind of react a bit odd to a ball. We saw it once on an infield single by Naquin leading off the third, and now on that one, he was playing back at third, and he may have had a shot, and he just stopped.
Well, I think he was fooled by the swing and the contact. For me, I don't know if anybody could have gotten to that ball. It seemed like it was in the perfect spot. Maybe, you know, you start looking at your shortstop and saying, should Nunez have gotten that ball? Because he's got the easier angle to it, but I don't know if anybody could have gotten to that one. It was just perfectly placed by Jose Ramirez.
Again, a check over on Ramirez. 1-0 Indians now lead here in the 4th. Bird chased the high fastball. 0-2. This is Plouffe again, goes back and just, maybe like you said, he didn't have a shot.
So, I mean, that ball is perfectly placed. I don't think anybody was going to catch that ball. And it's a tough break. You make a pitch, you induce weak contact. This is the way the game of baseball works sometimes. Think about how different this inning could have been. We could be looking at a couple of runs had it not been for that great play that Joe Mauer made on Francisco Lindor. That was an easy double. It looked like off the bat. It'll be 2-0 right now here for the Indians.
The fans starting to boo Irvin Santana for checking on Ramirez, who's 1 for 3 on the season stolen bases. No balls, 2 strikes to Marlon Byrd. And he strikes out Byrd for the 2nd time today. But the Indians do get a run. An RBI single by Ramirez. 1-0 Cleveland. Ramirez has the RBI, the only RBI in this game, that RBI little bloop single to score Mike Napoli. And now in the fifth, it's Rosario, Centeno, and Santana to face Kluber, and Kluber misses with the first pitch. Rosario struck out swinging his first time out. Just 2 hits for the Twins, both of them coming off the bat of Joe Mauer. And make it 3 hits for the Twins, and now Rosario has one of them.
This is a fastball right down the middle. Rosario all over it, and a great way to lead off this inning as the Minnesota Twins will try to get back in this one. You see the 4-seam fastball splits the plate. Rosario ready for it. Head down, good at bat, not trying to do too much, and right back up the middle. Very similar to what we saw from the Joe Mauer base hit earlier.
Centeno, who walked his first time out. You wonder if Paul Molitor tries to do anything here with Rosario on at first. 2 for 2 in stolen bases. Centeno, does he bunt? Does he try to have him steal? First pitch in there for a strike, 0-1. Joe, thank you very much. It's about time. No, I'm just kidding. It's 1-0. Cleveland on top of Minnesota here, top of the fifth. Justin Kutcher alongside C.J. Nitkowski. A leadoff single by Eddie Rosario. And now Centeno in the air to right field. Marlon Byrd back, looks up, gone. A 2-run shot by Juan Centeno. And now it's a 2-1 Minnesota lead.
Well, just a mild surprise, I would say, here for the Minnesota Twins and Juan Centeno. And really, Eddie Rosario, you think about the 7 and 8 hitters going up against. There's a 2-seam fastball grip right there. Ball came back over the plate just enough. You know, it's funny. We saw the swing earlier on a pitch away that we call the front door 2-seam fastball is a dangerous pitch, and that's what Corey Kluber was throwing there. He's trying to start it into the lefty, but if you miss, that ball comes back over the middle, becomes very hittable, and that is exactly what Centeno got, and he didn't miss it.
His first major league home run for Juan Centeno, and that gives his team a 2-1 lead. Home runs galore for the Twins in this series thus far. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike to Danny Santana.
What a great moment for Juan Centeno. We saw him kind of a little bit of a fist pump after that ball cleared the wall, and he's a great, you know, I played with him when he was 22 years old at the very end of my career in the minor leagues as I was trying to make a comeback. He was 22 years old in Double-A, and I was 39 years old, 38 years old, 39 years old, which is so ridiculously absurd that I was 17 years older than him when we played together. But what a nice moment for him. So congratulations, all the hard work, couple of different teams to get to the big leagues here and get it done and get that first big league home run.
A flare to left field. Davis comes in over by the line to make the catch, 1 away. And not just a great moment for him, but perfect timing, right? The national audience just joined, and he comes in, first major league home run, bam.
You never forget them. Of course, obviously every major league player will tell you about their first home run, who it was also off of, what the pitch was, what inning, what ballpark, all of it. And he gets to say that he did it against Corey Kluber to take the lead in Progressive Field. That is a very cool moment.
1 out now for Joe Mauer, who's 2 for 2. A single up the middle and a single to left. And the first pitch fastball is low and inside for ball 1. Mauer with those 2 hits has the average up over 300. Good pitch, foul tipped into the mid of Gomes. 1 ball and 1 strike. You know, you think back to Mauer in the heyday for him. The M&M boys, the modern day M&M, with him and Justin Morneau. I mean, they were such a dangerous combination in that lineup for Ron Gardenhire and the Twins.
Well, especially for right-handed pitchers to try to come in with those 2 guys and to do it at the Metrodome, of course. That ballpark was a really good ballpark to hit in. It was a really nice combination that they had in the middle of that lineup.
1 ball, 2 strikes here to Mauer. And Kluber tries for the breaking ball. Mauer holds up. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And very similar personalities, too. I spent a spring training with the Minnesota Twins back in 2005, both of those guys.
All right, who did you not spend time with?
There's a couple of teams. You know, I played in the same organization as Byung-Ho Park with the Nets and Heroes. He was in the minor leagues when I was in the big leagues there. If you can believe that. But my point was very similar personalities, I think, with Joe Mauer, Justin Morneau. Very simple guys, you know, not a lot of excitement to them. Everything kind of even keel. Obviously great ball players as well, but a lot of similarities between the two.
Nunez on deck. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Mauer. The payoff pitch from Kluber. Fastball on the outside corner, called strike 3. Mauer thought it was ball 4. Has a couple of words for Angel Hernandez. But that is strikeout number 5 for Kluber.
Well, this is a backdoor cutter from Corey Kluber. As you see the setup away, ball starts off the plate. Now, Young Gums moves that glove just a little bit. And for me, that tells me that it was probably a ball, and he wanted to give Angel Hernandez just a little bit of a better look. You see him bring it back right there? I think he worked Angel Hernandez. I think Joe Mauer has a pretty good argument there. That's probably a ball.
Since 2014, would you have guessed that Corey Kluber is number 3 in Major League Baseball among strikeouts for pitchers?
Since 2001, I missed it. 14, I would not have guessed that, actually. I know we would have been
and
up
you're
there.
Good on trivia.
I would have put him top 10, but I definitely would not have put him top 3. You know, he's been sneaky good over the last couple of years, without a doubt, and he's been a guy that can absolutely rack up some strikeouts.
Speaking of strikeouts, number 2 on that list was Max Scherzer, who struck out 20 in a game this week. And I don't know if you saw the picture he took on Twitter, but he had a picture as he was standing on the corner of 20th and K Street in D.C.
No, that's pretty cool. Which, listen, striking out 20 guys is pretty cool. We've only seen it 5 times in Major League Baseball, done by 4 different guys. Roger Clemens, of course, did it twice. I was at 2 of those games. I pitched in the one that Roger Clemens struck out 20 back in 1996 and was sitting in the bullpen as a member of the Astros when Kerry Wood did it in 1998. Look at this swing.
Did you see that?
That is, I mean, that is the most Eduardo Nunez swing I have ever seen. If you know him at all, and I'm not even joking around, I did play with him in winter ball a couple of years ago. He's a goofball, man. There's something a little strange about him. I mean, that is fantastic. He just keeps the hands back and fights off a tough pitch, but you see him smiling because if you know that guy, you know that is the most Eduardo Nunez swing ever. Come on, Justin, here it comes.
I was ready. I stood
chance.
up at least. Unlike you, who just sat here.
I knew you were going to catch it. I knew you had me.
Let me guess, you couldn't catch it because he was your teammate?
No, of course I could. I mean, I'm more worried about making a fool of myself trying to catch that ball.
The 1-2. Nunez didn't look good on that swing against Kluber. But the damage was done here in the inning. The first Major League home run for Juan Centeno. And the Twins go on top 2-1. Yan Gomes takes the first pitch from Ervin Santana outside for ball one. 2-1, bottom half of the 5th inning. Twins now leading the Indians. For those of you just joining us on FS1, these teams have played 4 times this year. They have split the 4 games, and each of the 4 games have been decided by 1 run. And what do you know, but we've got ourselves a 1-run game. 2-0, fouled back, 2 balls and 1 strike to Gomes. Do you like your name?
I don't mind it. I mean, you know, yeah, I'm all right with it. The last name, you know, you have a typical last name to pronounce. You got to deal with some stuff over your life, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with it.
But like, you would never think about changing your name?
No, I would not change my name, no.
Because Ervin Santana did change his name.
That's right.
Ervin Santana, his given name was Johan Ramon. 2-2 line drive, and Dozier's in a perfect spot to make the catch, and even in that spot, he almost got his head taken off. The Budweiser game summary. Kluber, Santana dueling here, but Ramirez had the RBI single in the 4th to give the Indians a lead. Then Centeno with his first career major league home run in the 5th, a 2-run shot that has given the Twins the 2-1 lead. But going back to Ervin Santana, was given the name Johan Ramon when he was coming up in the minor leagues. There was a guy for the Twins named Johan Santana who is a pretty good pitcher.
I heard of him.
And he said, I don't want to be confused with that Santana. So he didn't go with Ramon. He just chose Ervin.
Because, quote, I like the name Ervin, which is fantastic, because we do see sometimes, right, where people will take their middle names if you have somebody else in your family that has the same first name and last name, and so you go middle name. That seems like that would be the most logical thing to do in that situation, but it ended up being a huge curveball from the man we now know as Ervin Santana.
Little known facts. Oh-2 is bounced in the dirt to Naquin, who had the infield single his first time up. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Naquin now 18 of 55 on the year. Breaking ball, 2-2.
You mentioned earlier the 3-ball counts and the full counts that we've seen from Ervin Santana today, but the pitch count not terrible at 77 right now through 5. If you can get through this inning without using too many pitches, that's not bad considering all those 3 chip-shots.
Broken bat flare to second past the diving Dozier, and a base hit for Naquin. He's now 2 for 2.
This is what is so great about the game of baseball. Yan Gomes hit an absolute missile in the same exact spot that Naquin hit this ball. He breaks his bat, he catches it on the hand. You watch it there, the replay, it looked like he actually hit it twice, but it was the same exact spot, but he barely hit it. But because of the shift and where Brian Dozier was playing, it ends up turning into a base hit. Yan Gomes had the better at bat of those 2, but he goes back into the dugout with an 0.
Runner on first, 1 out for Rajay Davis. Flew out to center field his first time up. Breaking ball, swung and missed. Ervin Santana pitching with a lead here in Cleveland. Something he hasn't done very often. 1-7 with a 6.62 ERA coming into this game in 10 career starts in Cleveland. Made his major league debut here back on May 17, 2005. Also threw a no-hitter here. His only win was a no-hitter. July 27, 2011.
Really? That's the way to do it. No-hitter, you're really good chance you're going to win that game.
Unless you're Andy Hawkins.
That's right.
Foul ball. CJ, stand up. Gosh.
No, I was safe, man. I knew that wasn't coming to us. I'm not an overreactor.
1 ball, 2 strikes here to Davis. Ground ball, shortstop, Nunez bobbles it, and he was still able to get it to Dozier in time, who was on the bag to get the lead runner. Or was he off the bag? They did call him out, and now Naquin is heading towards the dugout.
We see the misplay here, and then tries to flip it with the glove, and the question probably is whether or not Brian Dozier's foot was on the bag when he finally got control of the ball, and it certainly appears as we see his left foot right on top of the bag. So absolutely he is out at second. And I love that Nunez actually tried to flip that with his glove at that point. When you're that close, it's a very difficult play. You probably want to see him pick it up with his hand or pick it up and just try to step on the bag yourself.
Fielder's choice extends the inning for Carlos Santana. Out in front of that pitch, 0-1. Santana is 0 for 1. A walk, and he grounded into a 3-6-3 inning-ending double play back in the 3rd. Snap throw back to first, and back in safely is Davis. Davis, of course, has fantastic speed. 8 of 11 in stolen bases.
This is an ideal time to go. You have 2 outs with your leadoff hitter up. It's a good time to be aggressive and try and get this bag and get into scoring position with 2 outs.
Throw over, he's back in safely.
Twins collectively have not been good at throwing runners out this year. Just 3 of 18. It's the 28th worst in all of Major League Baseball.
A bluff, down low, 2 balls and a strike.
You know, for Centeno, he'd love to make this the greatest 5th inning of his Major League career. He gets the big home run to give his team the lead, and now an opportunity maybe to throw a runner out. You know he's thinking about that as he's locked in right now. A guy who does not get to play very often, and so far has been a major impact on this game.
Off-speed pitch, now 3 balls and a strike to Santana with KIPNIS on deck. 2 outs, bottom half of the 5th, 2-1 Twins leading the Indians. The Twins are looking for just their 3rd road win of the season. 2-16 on the road so far this year. There goes Davis. And Santana pops one up foul territory. Plouffe over by the wall there to make the catch, and that will do it. 1 man left on base. We played flat 5 here in Cleveland. 2-1 Twins. Here at Progressive Fields in Cleveland, Miguel Sano, Trevor Plouffe, Young Ho Park. 3, 4, 5 in the order to face Corey Kluber.
That works.
And the first pitch is in there for a strike to Sano, who's 0 for 2, a strikeout, looking at a fly out to right. Pop foul out of play down the right field line. Kluber quickly ahead in the count, no balls and 2 strikes. Looking for a 7th strikeout, and he just got it.
It's a great slider in that count. And Corey Kluber has really gotten it done this afternoon here in Cleveland. He's thrown the ball extremely well outside of 1 mistake. But Miguel Sano, a guy that he has been toying with the slider and the fastball. There's a backup slider there that Trevor Plouffe wasn't waiting for. There was an argument after this one from Joe Mauer, but for the most part, he has been very, very good. And look at this breaking ball right here. Miguel Sano just below the zone, enticing him to chase it through 5 1/3. Been strong for Corey Kluber. That only mistake was back in the 5th inning. Juan Centeno, of all guys, taking him deep. That's been the big one. But other than that, Corey Kluber has been locked in.
7 strikeouts through 5 1/3. Plouffe line to left field. Rajai Davis slips and he can't make the catch. Plouffe is taking a wide turn and he'll go back to first base. It has been raining here in Cleveland overnight this afternoon before the game. The outfield grass is a bit wet, and Rajai Davis just lost his footing.
Well, this is the second outfielder that we have seen slip here, which is very unusual. Rajai Davis, a good defender. This ball was hit hard, and you see him step in, then go back, and then all of a sudden his feet come out from under him. Look at the divot. You can see it. Watch the divot he makes right here as he goes to plant his right leg, and it doesn't plant, and it slides right through that soft turf. And you really cannot fault Rajai Davis right there. He didn't do anything wrong mechanically. It's just that that right foot did not stick when he expected it to.
Well, the outfield grass looks beautiful. Looks like a fairway at Canterbury here in Cleveland.
Shocker, you're talking about golf.
Hey, the U.S. Open is right around the corner, okay? 1 ball, no strikes at Young Ho Park. The wind starting to pick up a bit, blowing in from left field.
If you're Rajai Davis right now, you are hoping for that ground ball, the double play, to get Corey Kluber and the Indians out of this inning, and just hoping that what happened right there in left field does not come back to bite them.
Fastball is low and outside, 2-0 to Park. Struck out and walked in this game. The rain is coming. Hard hit ball through the left side. A single here for Park. And it's 1st and 2nd, 1 out in the 6th for the Twins.
Corey Kluber got the ground ball that he wanted, but it was right in the hole between the shortstop and the third baseman. This fastball, he's trying to throw it away. This ball came back out over the plate. Good swing by Young Ho Park, who has done an excellent job since coming to the United States so far this year. Everything is translated. The only thing that has stuck out, and Paul Molitor mentioned this, is how he has struggled with runners in scoring position. Just 0-91 coming into today.
Well, now it's 1st and 2nd, 1 out for Brian Dozier. 0 for 2 with 2 groundouts. And now the home plate umpire, Angel Hernandez, wants to go out and speak with Ted Barrett, the crew chief.
Oh, I wonder what this could be about. Unless it's weather related, unless they have been keeping in touch with the grounds crew in between innings, and if they know what's coming. I wonder if that's the case, or if this is going to be a conversation he's having, looks like, with Corey Kluber possibly. Now he's talking. Now we see Angel Hernandez talking to Brian Dozier.
And again, Ted Barrett, Angel Hernandez talking things over.
They're going to give Corey Kluber 1 or 2 warm-up pitches here just because they took a little bit of a break. Angel Hernandez, whatever it is that he wanted to talk to third base umpire Ted Barrett about, who is the crew chief, I figure it's only fair to give Corey Kluber a couple of pitches since he had to wait. Now, I'm not sure, I don't know, Justin, if this is about weather, if this is about something else. We saw the forecast was supposed to be rain, but it seemed to have backed off a little bit, at least for this window of the game. So I'm not sure what that was about.
This will be the first pitch thrown to Dozier, first and second, 1 out in the 6th. And that hits Dozier. And it looks like it also got Gomes. Or something got Gomes, maybe the bat.
We'll get a look at a replay here. Fastball runs in, two-seamer. Yep, and it looks like the ball caught Gomes in the side, right in that little area. You see him kind of reach up to grab his neck. Watch it bounce, and as Gomes turned his head to the right, he opens up his neck a little bit. It's got a sting for sure.
So a hit by pitch loads the bases with 1 out in the 6th. And it was Eddie Rosario who got things going last inning with a single up the middle. And by the way, the rain has stopped. Comes and goes off the lake here in Cleveland. And the first pitch is foul tipped for strike 1. Plouffe at third with a single, Park at second with a single, Dozier at first being hit by a pitch. Rosario against Kluber. Top of the 6th and a chance for the Twins to get some runs. They had a lead last night. They blew it in the 8th inning. Marlon Byrd had the big hit.
Remember, we talked about this in the open about Corey Kluber and what Terry Francona said will happen with him sometimes, cruising along like he has been today outside of the home run, and then all of a sudden there'll be a handful of hitters where a few in a row where he struggles a little bit, and that's the opportunity for a team to be able to get to Corey Kluber, because you don't want him to be able to settle back down. We see the pitch count climbing up here a little bit, but this is a big opportunity for the Twins to get Corey Kluber when he seems to be all of a sudden off his game just a little bit.
2 balls and 1 strike now to Rosario. 1 for 2, single run scored and a strikeout.
See pitching coach Mickey Callaway. You don't be surprised. I also can call him a former teammate. Oklahoma City with the Texas Rangers, now the pitching coach here, and has been for the last 4 seasons, getting some action up now in his pen.
Pop foul out of play. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Kyle Crockett is the pitcher up in the bullpen now for the Indians, the left-hander. The 2-2 from Kluber. Ground ball. Shortstop Lindor to second for 1, to first. Not in time. Coming in to score is Plouffe. Rosario beats it out for the fielder's choice RBI.
I will tell you that the fact that this was even close to being a double play speaks to how good Francisco Lindor is. This is a tough play right here. It's a slow roller. He has to wait for that last hop. Perfect feed to Jason Kipnis. And they did about as good of a job as they possibly could, as we see Rosario busted out of the box, not looking at the play, just running as hard as he can through first base, and he beats it out.
(3-1) Minnesota now leading, first and third, 2 outs. Centeno at the plate, had the 2-run home run his last time up, his first major league home run. And now a chance to add to the lead for the Twins. Double barrel action in the bullpen for the Indians. Tommy Hunter is the right-hander throwing out there. So he joins Kyle Crockett. Centeno in the air to center. Naquin is there for the final out of the inning, but one more run across for the Twins. We head to the bottom half of the 6th here in Cleveland. It's 3-1 Minnesota. Indians. Trevor Plouffe, Eddie Rosario combining to score that run. It was a fielder's choice RBI. Ervin Santana against Jason Kipnis. And the first pitch is low and inside for ball 1. Kipnis 0 for 2, a couple of ground outs, both to first. A 3-6-1 double play and a 3 unassisted. Breaking ball in there, first strike, 1-1. What do we got in there?
Facebook Live chat pot, so people can watch just you and I. Pretty exciting.
Ground ball to second base. Dozier, easy play. One away here in the 6th. Time now for today's Gatorade Frost Cool Under Pressure moment. It was Francisco Lindor being robbed of extra bases by Joe Mauer his last time up. When Mauer made the diving stop, Santana covering.
We think about what a difference that play could have made. Likely a second run based on how the rest of that inning ended up playing out. Of course, the Indians did score 1 run in that inning. That was the second out of the inning. Very easily could have been a leadoff double.
Here is Lindor. 1 for 2, takes the first pitch, breaking ball in there for a strike. One. You know, we showed the graphic before of all the young shortstops. If you had to start your team with one, who would it be?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Carlos Correa is probably the consensus favorite, I would think, amongst most people, and you could not go wrong. I think with that decision, Xander Bogaerts is having a great year offensively. He is really coming into his own right now with the Boston Red Sox. Man, it is not an easy choice. You really cannot go wrong. Francisco Lindor, I believe him and Correa will battle consistently for that Gold Glove Award each year, maybe potentially here for the next decade. But ooh, if I only had to pick one, who was going to be my guy? I tell you what, Bogaerts might be my choice right now. As dynamic as Correa is, and I think he's good, and I think he's got MVP potential in him. Xander Bogaerts this year has really exploded. He's having a huge year.
I was about to call you a politician by avoiding the answer.
No, I got there eventually.
You got there, yeah. Nicely done.
We call that the Frank Thomas at FS1. Whenever we ask a question on MLB Whip Around weeknights at 7 Eastern, Frank will always give the politician's answer. He kind of gets it. We give him such a hard time about it. Frank, of course, the Hall of Famer. We love having him on our coverage, but we also love busting his chops about never completely making that decision.
A curveball gets Lindor swinging. Strikeout number 4 for Santana. Out number 2 here in the 6th.
As much as we talked about Kluber, Ervin Santana has thrown the ball really well. Good breaking ball. You see Lindor talking to himself afterwards, but good rotation. Below the zone is what you want. Bottom of the strike zone. Lindor tried to hit that one into the upper deck.
Good line for Santana. Now faces Napoli. Napoli doubled off the center field wall. One hop the center field wall his last time up. Came around to score the only run for the Indians on the RBI bloop single by Ramirez. Off-speed pitch, 1 ball and 1 strike.
Get me over breaking ball right there from Santana. When you're behind in the count like that, 1-0, you're facing a fastball hitter like Mike Napoli. It's almost an easy way to steal a strike. He's not interested in that breaking ball with nobody on base.
Out in front of that pitch, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pitch number 100 coming up here for Ervin Santana. Hoping to end this 6th inning on pitch number 100.
Now it seems Ervin Santana and Juan Centeno are having a little bit of an issue. I don't think it's on pitch selection, but maybe on pitch location. Remember, they tried to elevate last time. Mike Napoli hit that ball pretty hard. Fastball away, calling slider, change it, fastball in. So it looks like the fastball in is what Santana has wanted. Nope.
And now he's going to call him out.
Maybe not.
Progressive Field here in Cleveland, Ohio. Minnesota Twins, Cleveland Indians, Justin Kutcher, CJ Nikowski. Our statistician, Andy Bonjean.
A lot of time has passed since Ervin Santana has last thrown a pitch. Yeah. You start to wonder a little bit about the sharpness.
Goes to the breaking ball. And now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And you can see why it took him so long to get there. He actually wanted to throw a front door breaking ball, which is kind of a dangerous pitch. Not a great strikeout pitch for Santana, for me at least, not against Mike Napoli. Now they'll try to do something, throw something away here.
In the dirt, now 3 balls and 2 strikes.
You just don't see that too often, what he was trying to do there. A front door breaking ball right on right. You just don't see it too often. It's a freeze pitch. Mike Napoli is probably the wrong guy to try to go there, and I think that's why Santana was so reluctant and so confused as far as what Santana wanted to do.
7th full count of the game for Santana. And the 3-2 rings him up on the inside corner. Napoli thought he had ball 4. Strikeout number 5 for Santana. He strikes out the last 2 batters of the inning. We're through 6, and it's 3-1 Twins. 9-1-2 in the order here for Minnesota. Top of the 7th. Santana against Kluber, trying to bunt for a base hit and bunts it foul. Danny Santana against Corey Kluber. Santana 0 for 2, a pop out to short and a fly out to left. The Seagulls are starting to swarm here at Progressive Field. Better be careful, next could be the Midges. Ripped to right field. Marlon Byrd going over. This will go all the way to the wall, and Santana will be in with a leadoff double. His 4th double of the year, and the Twins are back in business.
It's been interesting to see the bottom of the order and some of the damage that they have done. And now Danny Santana batting 9th in this lineup. This is a breaking ball that does not break very much. That's a backup slider. You don't do it intentionally. You're trying to throw that ball down and in, get some downward action on it, and that ball just spun. Corey Kluber, a little bit of trouble here to start off the 7th inning.
A leadoff double for Santana. Mauer steps to the plate. Struck out looking his last time up, but has a couple of singles. And his job right now is just to pull the ball to the right side, get that runner over to third with 1 out. Takes the first pitch inside for ball 1. Tommy Hunter continues to throw out there in the bullpen for the Indians. Outside with a fastball, 2 balls and no strikes. 97 pitches on the day for Kluber.
Corey Kluber has gone over 100 3 times with the high 111. Just back on May 4th.
Now 3 balls and no strikes. When you were a starter, did you ever pay attention to pitch counts?
No. Nope. I didn't get deep enough in games more often than not to really worry about my pitch count. But no, it really wasn't as big of a deal. I mean, they paid attention. They weren't going to let you throw 150 pitches. But the numbers where people started getting concerned would be more in the mid-120s, 130s if the conversation even came up at all.
Mauer taken all the way, takes a strike, 3-1. Ground ball, second base. KIPNIS makes the play. Mauer does his job. Moves Santana over to third with 1 out. Well, it is play ball weekend across Major League Baseball. Kids are taking over Major League Baseball parks as part of the inaugural play ball weekend. MLB will distribute 320,000 play ball plastic bat and ball sets. The Indians hosted a clinic before today's game featuring players and local Cleveland RBI youngsters. They did not hand out popcorn, but that doesn't mean you can't have some when you come out to the ballpark.
What a great initiative here from Major League Baseball, and love the idea of encouraging kids now more than ever, right? Looking at electronics and staying in the house more than they probably should. So I love baseball trying to do their part to get kids outside, to get them playing. There's an initiative, a strong one, to try to get young kids playing this game as we see some of the participation levels start to go down. So a fantastic idea here by Major League Baseball.
Infield is in with 1 out in the 7th for Nunez. Struck out his last time up. He's 0 for 3. Just trying to get one to the outfield right now. Lays off that pitch. 1 ball and 1 strike. Nunez chases that 1-2.
You never know what you're going to see at a Major League ballpark. That's the best part of coming to games, and you never thought that you would see this from Eduardo Nunez. They don't teach that at any hitting school. There's not a coach. You see his face right there. He knows what he just did was pretty unbelievable. Completely fooled and out front. Somehow found a way to foul that pitch off.
Outside, it's 2-2. Good numbers for Nunez in this area of the ball game. In the dirt, Gomes able to locate the ball. And now it's 3 balls and 2 strikes.
Good job by Yan Gomes. You talked about earlier, Terry Francona talking about struggles at the plate, not carrying over. You're in a big situation. You got a runner at third. It is fantastic as a pitcher when you know you can, with confidence, throw a breaking ball in the dirt, try to get a strikeout. When you have a catcher back there that you feel comfortable with, that you know is going to be able to block that ball. Good job by Yan Gomes.
5th full count for Kluber. 3-2 in the air, right field. Bird over by the line. Makes the catch in foul territory, tagging is Santana, and he will score. So the sacrifice fly by Nunez, and now it's 4-1 Twins.
Marlon Byrd has a pretty good arm, and you saw him try to make a spin throw here. And if you're wondering, should he have let the ball drop and thinking about this run coming across the board, would it have been a foul ball? That ball is way too close. That's not even an option here for Marlon Byrd. And had this throw not been up the line, we might have had a much closer play at home plate, but it was up the line by about 10 or 15 feet. And for the Twins now, putting that 4th run across the board is a big one.
Base is now empty for Miguel Sano. And the fastball is inside for ball 1 from Kluber. Sano is 0 for 3, a couple of strikeouts, 1 swinging, 1 looking, and also a fly out to right. Two balls and no strikes.
Corey Kluber has had Miguel Sano completely off balance, guessing wrong. Seems like when he's looking for the curveball, he's throwing the fastball. He's pitched him backwards. He's pitched him forward. Let's see if Sano can make any kind of adjustment here in the 4th at bat.
3 balls and no strikes to Sano. I wonder if they green light him here. You're up 4-1. Huge power for Sano.
It's not a bad idea. You got a guy that's struggling. This may be the best pitch you're going to get the entire at bat.
Wasn't a good pitch. Took it for ball 4, and that might be it for Kluber. Here comes Terry Francona, and he makes the call to the bullpen. Tommy Hunter will be the new pitcher coming in for the Indians. Kluber, the 2014 AL Cy Young Award winner, goes 6 2/3, gives up the 4 runs. His team trails 4-1. Live streaming sports service delivers everything you have come to expect and more. Watch every out-of-market game live in HD on over 400 supported devices. Visit MLB.tv for details. Top of the 7th here in Cleveland. The new pitcher is Tommy Hunter. Hunter comes in for Kluber on the season, has appeared in 5 games, 0-1, a 4.5 ERA. Opponents hitting .313 against him, and he starts off Trevor Plouffe with a breaking ball for strike one. Excuse me. Trevor Plouffe singled his last time up, came around to score on the RBI fielder's choice by Eddie Rosario. Goes to the breaking ball again, and Hunter's ahead in the count, 0-2.
And probably for Trevor Plouffe sitting here thinking, I can't believe I just saw 2 curveballs, 66% fastballs from Tommy Hunter, another 24% cutters. That's 80% of his pitches. Nope, that's 90% of his pitches with are fastball or cutters. And what does he get? 2 curveballs to start off in a bat. Make it 3.
Good thing you checked your work on that one.
Like, wait a minute, that's not right.
1 ball and 2 strikes here to Plouffe. By the way, it is May 14th, right?
It is.
Doesn't feel like it here.
No, it certainly doesn't in Cleveland. And it was nice yesterday when we got here. The weather was actually really nice. Today, not so much, but the rain has held off. That's the good news. A couple of days ago, it was looking like 80% chance of rain during this game. And for the most part, it has held off.
Sano goes. The pitch is up high, and the base is stolen by Miguel Sano, his first stolen base of the year.
And that is 100% stolen off of a pitcher. Wasn't a big lead by Miguel Sano, but Tommy Hunter not quick to the plate there. Probably not paying much attention to Sano either. And why not? In that situation with 2 outs, try to get in scoring position. Not a lot to lose there, especially when the hitter is down in the count.
3-2, foul back this way, just below us. Sano had the walk against Kluber. That was the last batter of the game for Corey Kluber. Hunter has come in. Started Plouffe off with a couple of breaking balls. With the wind blowing, debris on the field. Angel Hernandez showing off cat-like reflexes.
He's on it. Quite a difference, right? Think about highlights that you've seen from the fall in the 70s and in the 80s. A lot of times, like I remember thinking Shea Stadium, and there's just garbage all over the place.
Hot dog wrappers.
There's no stopping and picking up one piece of garbage like we just saw right here.
Ground ball. Lindor at short. Makes the play, and that'll do it here in the 7th. It is stretch time in Cleveland with the Indians trailing 4-1. MLB is back next Saturday, starting with the D-backs taking on the Cardinals in the game you can only see on FS1. CJ and I will be there for that one. Then on Fox, it's the return of Baseball Night in America, featuring some of the best teams and rivalries in baseball. That big one, the Cubs and the Giants. Nationals, Marlins, Rangers, Astros. It all starts next Saturday on FS1 and Fox, or watch live on Fox Sports Go. A new pitcher into the game here for the Minnesota Twins. It is Michael Tonkin. 15 games on the season, a 1-1 record, 2.04 ERA, 17 2/3 innings, 19 strikeouts in those 17 2/3 to just 7 walks and a .215 opponent batting average. And he'll face Ramirez, Bird, and Gomes here in the 7th. And the fastball's in there for strike 1.
This has been a weak spot here for the Minnesota Twins. Just 2 saves on the year. That's last in the American League, tied for last in all of Major League Baseball. The ERA at a 4.49. That's 14th in the American League. It has been a struggle for this bullpen right now to hold leads. And they haven't had a ton of them, but when they get those opportunities, they have struggled to hold on to them. So certainly with 9 outs left to go, the Cleveland Indians have to feel comfortable at least that they have a chance to get back in this game.
Pop up foul territory. Plouffe over by the wall will make the catch for the first out. You know, you said Cleveland fans or the Indians have to feel comfortable knowing they've got a chance. Conversely, for Twins fans, they're probably thinking, oh no, setting ourselves up for disaster.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when you have a tough season, you can almost always count on the fact that you're not going to have that strong of a bullpen. And when you're struggling to get wins, there are no losses that are more discouraging than ones that come late in the game. Now, the Cleveland Indians, or excuse me, the Minnesota Twins sitting here with a clean 3 innings to go, and certainly it's a possibility they could close this game out. It's just, it has been a struggle up to this point, and one of the biggest issues they've had is not having Glenn Perkins, their steady closer, who has been hurt for most of this year. That has been a big loss for this team, and especially that bullpen.
No balls, 1 strike to Bird, who's 0 for 2 with 2 strikeouts.
You see Neil Allen, pitching coach for the Minnesota Twins. Had him in AAA with the Yankees as a coach. Great guy. Happy to see him doing well here in Minnesota.
Bird could not hold up. Sean Barber said he went around, so no balls and 2 strikes. Outside with a fastball at 94. 1 ball and 2 strikes here to Bird.
And Tonkin is your traditional fastball slider reliever. 75% of fastballs that'll average around 93 miles an hour in that secondary slider, which you see right there.
Marlon Bird, not a good game for him. 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts. Swung and missed at 7 straight pitches.
Well, against Santana, the issue was the fastball to finish at bats, but here's that slider from Tonkin. Gets around it a little bit, almost looks a little bit more like a curveball grip, but at 83 miles an hour, more of a slider speed. As you mentioned, rough day for Marlon Bird.
Now Yan Gomes will hit with 2 outs and the base is empty. Gomes lined out to second his last time up. It almost took Brian Dozier's glove off. No balls and 2 strikes. Tonkin trying to work a 1-2-3 inning out of the bullpen here in the 7th for the Twins. The 0-2 got him swinging. And there it is, back-to-back strikeouts for Tonkin. And we go to the 8th inning here at Progressive Field with the Twins leading 4-1. You go inside of the bar. Watch the game from there.
Not a bad place at all to be right now. Not an option for you and I at the moment.
Byung Ho Park will lead things off against Hunter in the 8th, and he takes the pitch outside for ball 1. Park singled his last time up, has also walked and struck out.
I thought Paul Molitor made a very interesting point about Byung Ho Park, something we don't think about, or at least we don't think about in detail. Most of these pitchers, almost all of them, he is seeing for the first time ever. Now, we saw some guys in spring training, but now that the season has started, he is seeing guys for the first time. The advantage almost always goes to the pitcher in that situation. But not only that, he is seeing guys at a level that he is not used to seeing. I played in Korea for 2 years. You don't see the velocities that you see here, right? That's been all the talk about Major League Baseball, how hard these guys are throwing, and the guys that we bring out in the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning. Byung Ho Park has not seen that before. He has reacted very well. He deserves a lot of credit for how his season has started, especially from the power department.
His numbers coming into today's game was .245, 9 home runs, and 15 RBIs. You mentioned it. Molitor said the one area that he hasn't done what he would like to do is perform with runners in scoring position. Ground ball left side. Ramirez makes the play. One away here in the 8th. It's time to get major league coverage. T-Mobile has doubled its 4G LTE in the last year and now covers 308 million Americans. One out in the 8th for Brian Dozier. Dozier was hit by a pitch his last time up. And the first pitch fastball in the outside corner at the knees for a strike.
I thought this was an interesting note coming out of that Astros Red Sox game, the one that was on before us. David Ortiz, a walk-off double. It was the first game ever in his career. He's played in 2,291 games.
Dozier in the air, center field. Naquin going back. He makes the catch on the warning track for out number 2.
And in that time, in all those years, all those games, he had never had a double, triple, and a home run in the same game. But he did that today. A single away from the cycle for David Ortiz.
Everyone asks, do you think he will really go through with the retirement?
I do. I believe that he's probably a man of his word. I think there's some people in the Red Sox front office and in that dugout that would like him to consider it and think it over a little bit longer, because he has been incredible this year.
Eddie Rosario, 2 outs here in the 8th. Big swing and miss. No balls and 2 strikes. Rosario had the RBI fielder's choice in the 6th. A single and a run scored in the 5th and a strikeout back in the 2nd. In the air, right center field. Bird is over. Naquin cuts in front, makes the catch, and a 1-2-3 inning worked by Tommy Hunter. Retires the side on 9 pitches. Bottom of the 8th coming up. 4-1 Twins. And now, greater coverage of baseball, sponsored by T-Mobile. The job that Ervin Santana did today for the Twins. 6 innings, 5 hits, a run, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts.
I think it was most impressive for me, Justin, the pace that he kept the entire game. Even though he put himself in a couple of 3-2 counts, we kind of kept track of that. He didn't let it get away from him. You see just the 1 walk. A lot of times, obviously, getting into those full counts would lead to more walks, but Ervin Santana did an excellent job today against the Cleveland Indians lineup.
And the new pitcher in the game for the Twins is the right-hander Ryan Presley, appearing in his 18th game, 1-2, a 5.03 ERA, 19 2/3, 20 strikeouts, 12 walks. The 12 walks, a disturbing number out of the bullpen. And he faces Naquin, Davis, Santana. 8-9-1 in the order for the Indians with a 3-run lead. Fouled back. 1 ball and 1 strike to Tyler Naquin, who's 2 for 2. An infield single and a single to center field. Good fastball on the outside corner, 1-2.
It's been an interesting season for Presley. You mentioned the walks being a little bit high. There's just been a couple of bad games for him that really stick out. This is his 18th game pitch, but in 3 of those games, he has allowed 9 of his 11 earned runs and 7 of those 12 walks. And this is what happens with relievers sometimes. You live and die with the good and the bad game, and you're not allowed to take at any of your games and say, well, this is what my year really was about. But I think when you look at the mean, the bulk of the work, a couple have gotten away from him. But other than that, he's been very good for this team.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Naquin, leading off here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Bounced about 55 feet. And Centeno is kind of walking around. Those aren't fun.
They aren't fun, and I think that's a case of trying to throw too good of a curveball, going for the strikeout on the 2-2 count. Obviously, that one was not near the strike zone at all. 2-2, you don't want to go 3-2. You want to finish the at-bat. That should always be the mindset, especially when you're dealing with a 3-run lead and nobody on. You don't want to put yourself in these 3-2 counts.
Yet another 3-2 count on this day, and it's up high, and that should be ball 4. Apparently nobody knows.
Sandy Alomar is standing at first base right now, believing that it is ball 4, and I was going to blame you, and I was going to blame our graphics people, but no, we had it right. Of course we had it right. Who am I kidding? How would I even think of doubting any of us here?
You said before, I hope you're not offended by calling me small. Now I'm offended.
Well, they had me tricked too. I thought I was following along pretty well.
And now the rain starts to fall once again. The temperature seems to have dropped about 5 degrees or 10 degrees in the last couple of minutes. Rajai Davis steps to the plate. Swing and a miss. Davis 0 for 2, a fly out to center, reaching a fielder's choice his last time up. Good breaking ball. It's a tight slider. No balls and 2 strikes.
Did you see Rajai Davis look back at Angel Hernandez and say that was a strike? And he knows it was a strike, but he wants Angel to think twice about it, even though it's getting late here, trying to buy himself one maybe later in the at-bat.
Fastball doesn't get an opportunity later in the at-bat. 1 pitch later, he's gone. First out here in the 8th.
And not the location that Presley was trying to throw to, but he'll take it nonetheless. He's actually trying to throw this fastball probably just off the plate on the corner. Instead, it comes back and even catches the inside corner a little bit, and I think catching everybody by surprise, especially Rajai Davis.
Carlos Santana 0 for 2. Walk, a ground out, and a foul out to third. Fastball at 94 misses outside for ball 1. Breaking ball catches the outside corner. Santana doesn't like the call.
I think I'm going to agree with Carlos Santana on that one. This was a breaking ball that started off the plate. I don't think it ever came back and actually caught the corner. Carlos Santana, we talked about it. This guy knows the strike zone. He's walked as good as anybody over the last 5 years. I think he had a legitimate argument there.
Big swing popped up in the infield. Nunez looking up into the rain. Makes the catch, 2 away. Well, tonight before an epic heavyweight title fight, UFC 198 starts on FS1 as dominating jiu-jitsu master Damian Maia takes on challenger who's out to shock the world when he battles Matt Brown, plus Trinaldo squares off against Medeiros. It all starts next only on FS1 or watch it live on Fox Sports Go. 2 away now for KIPNIS. Looking for his first hit of the day, 0 for 3 with 3 groundouts. And the fastball misses outside. Four runs on 7 hits and no errors for the Twins. 1 run on 5 hits and no errors for the Indians. Breaking ball, 2-0. I don't want to speak too soon, but give a lot of credit to weather.com. Their hour by hour was quite accurate.
Not an easy thing to do here in Cleveland, that's for sure. Not with the lake effect.
Fastball missing outside, now 3-0.
I was going to say this would have been and can still be a pretty big out here for the Minnesota Twins as you think about trying to go into the 9th inning and splitting up the middle of the order. Of course, Jason Kipnis in the 2 spot. You can get this inning finished before you get to the middle. That would be an ideal situation.
3-0 taken all the way was Kipnis. 3-1. Lindor on deck. That middle of the order you talk about really is Kipnis, Lindor, Napoli. Ramirez had the RBI single earlier. Rain is coming down once again. The 3-1 missing down low, ball 4. So now the tying run is coming to the plate in the form of Francisco Lindor.
And I mentioned it earlier and it seems to be the case today, but as the rain starts to come down, but for Ryan Pressly it's been walks that come in bunches and runs that have come in bunches for him, and he is trying to avoid that right now. He's got his 2 outs, but it's been a couple of walks. I got to believe that the leash is going to be pretty short for him here, but trying to get out of this jam and not allowing the Cleveland Indians to get back into this game.
Neil Allen came out for a visit. Lindor, 2 home runs on the year. A home run here and we're tied up. The wind is blowing in from left field. And a foul tip for strike 1. And just like that, the rain is gone.
It's really unbelievable. I mean, it's blowing in the booth here. If you think we're protected, the answer to that is no. We are not 100% protected here in the television booth. And now it's just completely stopped.
Breaking ball, and it's 0-2. Well, there's no doubt that so far for Pressly, the breaking ball has been the pitch that he can control.
It's the one he's most comfortable with. You can see it, especially in this situation right now. He's trying to avoid solid contact. Even the strikeout that he did get on the fastball with Rajai Davis, he missed his location. Now, in 0-2 count, this is a great time to try to throw a fastball either up over the plate as a ball or off the plate and then set up that breaking ball.
There was the fastball at 95, fouled back.
It's a good job by Lindor fouling that pitch off, but still not exactly where Ryan Pressly wants to throw that pitch. If you're going to elevate, you got to get it up higher. If you're going to go off the plate, it's got to be at least a few inches in this situation and this count.
It's raining again. Another 0-2. Again, the fastball fouled back. Kevin Jepson throwing in the bullpen now for the Twins. Breaking ball. Little humpback liner into left field. That'll score a run. Naquin comes in to score. Going to third goes Kipnis. First and third, 2 outs, and it's a 2-run game.
There's going to be some frustration here as we go through this at bat and watch how we got to this point. First pitch, breaking ball down. Lindor fouls it into the ground. There's another breaking ball. Now he's got himself ahead of the count, and it's fastball. He's late on it. Fastball, he's going to be late on this one as well. Still an 0-2 count, and a breaking ball that ends up being up almost chest high. That is not where Ryan Pressly wants to throw that ball. He had put himself in a good position but could not execute when he needed to the most, and now he's going to stay in there, and he's going to get an opportunity still to finish this inning. You can see by watching him, the stuff is absolutely there. It's just a matter of the execution of pitches.
You had mentioned the bullpen struggles for this Twins team. Well, now Napoli represents the go-ahead run, and he has a good swing at the first pitch and fouls it back for strike one. Napoli doubled to center field back in the fourth, his 200th career double. He's also lined out to center and struck out looking. It's definitely coming down now with the wind whipping. Breaking ball, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike.
And you can see Ryan Pressly just kind of falling off that breaking ball a little bit early, and that's why it stayed up in the zone, and I'm sure Neil Allen has picked up on that. You just want him to stay chest and face on the target a little bit longer to give him time to get that ball down consistently.
Good swing. Napoli knows he just missed one right there. 1-2. Let me ask you this, because Napoli's had good swings to the fastballs, as we see here. With the rain being as it is, does Pressly feel comfortable throwing that curveball now?
It depends. I mean, you know, you do a good job as a pitcher. You can keep your hand dry. You can blow on your hand in this situation. If he could start that breaking ball right down the middle where it finishes just off the plate and down, he'd put himself in a good position for a strikeout.
1-2, misses low and outside with a fastball. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
And now again, here you are in this count with the potential go-ahead run at the plate. You don't want to go 3-2, but at the same time, Mike Napoli will crush a mistake. You leave a fastball out over the plate, you're putting yourself in a bad position.
2-2, breaking ball, got him swinging. So Pressly gets in trouble, gives up a run, and gets out of trouble. The strikeout of Napoli. We go to the 9th, 4-2 Twins. Napoli, Ryan Presley, that matchup, it was Presley who won in the 8th.
This is a big moment in the game, and going pitch by pitch here, you see the good fastball location right out of the chute, but a hanging breaking ball now to even the count at 1-1. A fastball mistake that he probably got away with that Mike Napoli wishes he had back, and then we see one missed in the zone. And a breaking ball where the speed differential made the difference there. Wasn't the perfect location, but the speed differential was just enough to get Mike Napoli out front and Ryan Presley to get a huge strikeout.
And now the third pitcher of the game for the Indians is the left-hander Kyle Crockett, appearing in his 7th game. No record, 2 2/3, 3 strikeouts, 1 walk. Opponents hitting 111 against him. And he will face Juan Centeno, the catcher, leading off here on the 9th. And the first pitch is in there for a strike. Centeno, 1 for 2, a 2-run homer back in the 5th, a walk and a fly out to center. 1 ball and 1 strike.
And you see that funky delivery as we watch Kyle Crockett. He's done a nice job here, just a little bit of time so far this year, just a couple of games pitched, but 167 versus lefties has not allowed a hit yet to a right-hander.
Fastball misses outside. 2 balls and a strike. Bottom third of the order has done some damage for these Twins today. 3 for 9, a double, a home run. But the big number, 3 RBIs. Outside now 3-1.
You see Crockett struggling a little bit to keep that slider on the plate. This is a very important inning right here to try to get your team right back in it. The Cleveland Indians had an opportunity to go big. They did add a run on the board in the 8th inning, and now we have lefty switch lefty, Centeno, Santana, Mauer. And certainly Terry Francona would like to see Crockett get these guys right back in the dugout and give them that opportunity to hit.
CJ, I know you're amazed right now, but it's another 3-2 count.
It seems like there has been a lot of them today, but this is a batter that Crockett could not allow to get away from him.
Line drive, base hit. That one is trying to be cut off by Bird. He slides, pops up. Centeno to second with a leadoff double. So Juan Centeno, who had his first major league home run back in the 5th, now adds a double here in the 9th, leading off the inning.
It really is amazing. We just talked about it, what the bottom of the order has done, but what else we've talked about today was 3-2 counts. When you put yourself in that position and you can no longer shoot for the corners, you got to split the middle of the plate. You cannot be over aggressive. And Centeno, as soon as he hit that ball, you know he's thinking too, as that ball skipped on this wet turf, and it's been a really nice day for Juan Centeno.
Now the corners are in with Danny Santana turning around to bat from the right side against the southpaw Crockett. Doesn't bunt, the slash, and that is through the hole. Lindor can't get there. Centeno will score, and the Twins go up 5-2. I love it. I love seeing that. You're expecting bunt, the bunt slash, and the base hit drives in a run.
Well, we could see that coming from here because it was a half-hearted attempt by Danny Santana as he kind of went to square, but at least from this angle, which is much easier to see, that he was going to pull it back pretty quickly, and this is perfectly executed. And what you're trying to do in that situation is just hit the ball on the ground somewhere. That is the approach, because you know the infield's in. You're trying to get infielders moving, thinking that they're covering the bunt, and the ball actually went off of Crockett's glove, and he had a chance to catch that. That obviously would have made a big difference on that play, but couldn't nab it and gets through for that base hit.
And now a look over at Santana. The Indians got a run in the 8th. The Twins get that run right back here in the 9th. Still nobody out. On top of the order, Joe Mauer is 2 for 4 with a couple of singles. Mauer takes the first pitch for a strike. You go back to that bottom of the 8th inning, how big of an at-bat and a pitch that was by Presley against Napoli to get that strikeout. Because it looked like for the Twins, here we go again. No balls and 2 strikes.
And the reason that Crockett has been so effective against lefties so far is a funky delivery. It's not overpowering stuff by any means, but he's got really long arm action. Comes at you from an angle that left-handed hitters are not used to seeing. He stands all the way on the first base side of the rubber.
Mauer stays in, fouls it away.
You see that fastball at only 86, 87 miles an hour. That's not going to fool a lot of guys on their own, on its own. And so you have to get creative, and that's what that delivery does. And like I said, even his presence as far as where he actually stands on the mound, it's a tough look for a left-handed hitter.
No balls, 2 strikes to Mauer. Runner on first is Santana after the RBI single. There goes Santana, and Mauer fouls it back. Major League Baseball is holding their first ever junior home run derby for kids 14 and under. Winners of local contests will have the chance to compete in the national finals during All-Star Week. Sign up now to host a local competition. Please visit jrhrd.com for more information.
You going to compete in that?
I think if I'm allowed to compete with a 14 and under group, I will.
You could slide right in there, man. Nobody would know the difference.
Another foul ball from Mauer. I was about to say that it's a good thing that didn't exist when I was a kid because I never hit a home run in my life.
Really? It makes me not feel as bad. I haven't hit one since I was 12.
I was a singles hitter, would steal bases, get some walks.
No, and nobody appreciated on base percentage back then.
No, I was so underappreciated.
Yeah, I don't doubt that for a second.
I would foul off pitches. Set the table for my teammates,
Nice.
but it went unappreciated.
A lot of walks as good as a hit coming from your dugout when you're hitting.
Because by that point it turned into a double or a triple. With
Oh, really?
base.
I'll check you out, little Ricky.
That's right. Today, I consider myself the greatest.
I am the greatest.
I am the greatest.
What a moment.
How about Mauer fouling off pitch after pitch?
Well, he's hung in there. We've talked about him a lot today and the improvements that he's made from the last couple of years. And you can tell, we could see it here just in this game alone, how well he has been seeing the ball. And a lot of times it doesn't always mean hits, but how he's taking pitches, how he's fouling off tough pitches. He does have 2 hits and a strikeout today, but you can definitely see the difference in Joe Mauer. That home run power is probably never coming back, but better contact, better walk rate. That's what we've seen in 216.
Line drive off of Crockett, fielded by Ramirez to first base. They get the out, 1-5-3. Down to second goes Santana, but now you got to wonder, is Crockett okay?
Well, they're definitely going to come out and check on him because this looked like it caught him pretty solid. And now
that'll be a dead leg.
Left leg. And I tell you what, you don't rub it, and it always feels better when it's turned into an out. Doesn't hurt as much. Had that ball gone into the outfield and been a hit, might have hurt a little bit more.
Francona right away went to the bullpen, but that could also be because they've got some right-handers coming up. So Crockett's day is done. Top of the 9th, 1 out, and coming in is Dan Otero. For right now, a new pitcher in the game for the Indians. It is the right-hander Dan Otero. 10 games, no record, a 1.59 ERA. Good numbers all around for Otero. And the first pitch to Eduardo Nunez misses inside for ball one. Runner on second is Santana. 5-2, Twins on top.
And Otero, another arm coming out of this Indians bullpen. Not an overpowering arm, but it's fastball slider predominantly for him, relying on that movement, relying on keeping that ball on the ground.
There is one on the ground. Lindor at shortstop, backs up for the hop, makes the play, 2 away, as Santana had to hold at second.
A 64% ground ball rate for Dan Otero, which is very high. And you need these kind of guys in your bullpen. It's not just about the hard throwing, powerful arms that we're seeing around Major League Baseball, but also as you build a bullpen, an ideal ground ball guy, a guy who can get you out of trouble with runners on base, get you that double play when you need it. Dan Otero is that guy for the Cleveland Indians.
Miguel Sano walked and stole a base his last time in the 7th inning. For those of you tuning in for the UFC 198 pre-fight show, we'll get you out there immediately at the conclusion of our game. In the meantime, the broadcast is currently available on FS2 as well as streaming live on Fox Sports Go and at foxsportsgo.com. One ball and one strike here to Sano. Two outs, top of the ninth. Breaking ball outside, 2-1. Sano has big time power. Up the middle, past the diving Lindor into center field. They're waving Santana around. He will score a 2-out RBI single by Sano. And now it's 6-2, Twins on top.
Well, I just mentioned Otero and the ground ball rate and how good of a job he does getting those ground balls, but this one was hit hard. You see that two-seam fastball. Look at the good run, but good job by Sano to keep the hands in, get the barrel to the bat just enough to get it through past the diving Francisco Lindor. And certainly the Minnesota Twins have to be feeling pretty good at this point about breaking that 8-game losing streak that they've been on.
For such a big guy, Sano looks like he's got a pretty compact swing on that last swing.
He did a good job of getting to that one without a doubt. And a lot of times with big guys, you can tie them up in, but that was not the case.
Darren Mastrani is the pinch runner for Sano. Strike in there to Plouffe. Plouffe is 1 for 4, the run scored. Fouls it back, 0-2.
You don't see that too often in ballparks anymore, but the Indians still have one of those nets where foul balls will get kicked back onto the net and actually roll back onto the field. That one actually got stuck up high, as you guys can see it right there to the right. That seems more like a throwback, right? It seemed like
the old Yankee Stadium.
Old Yankee Stadium. People with their nets and the balls rolling back. A lot of times the ballparks don't have the nets anymore. They let those pop-ups drop into the stands.
As a fan, I like it better having the chance behind home plate to get a foul ball if they don't have the screen go all the way.
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt. I think that's probably why we've seen a lot of stadiums that don't have that anymore. It's a $20 baseball, man. Everyone wants to get their hands on that.
At the same time, I always want to be that guy at the old Yankee Stadium with the fishnet.
You did, yeah. Well, you weren't a sweet kid? You didn't sit in the suites?
No.
I kind of had you pegged as one of those kids. When I was sitting in the bleachers kind of looking in, I thought that was you I saw sitting in the suites.
Little jam shot to shallow center. That'll fall in for a base hit. Mastrani goes to third, first and third, with 2 outs here in the ninth.
Tough break there for Otero. Not really strong contact. He's done a good job of keeping the barrel away from the baseball. But like we've seen throughout this game a couple of different times, sometimes those hits are going to go your way. And for Otero now, just trying to shut down this inning and giving the Cleveland Indians a chance here in the 9th inning without this thing getting out of reach.
Byung-ho Park can put it out of reach with one swing of the bat. And it looks like the wind has actually changed directions. Again, just getting ready for golf.
Yeah.
Swirling winds. He's changed his club from a 9 to a pitching wedge.
You're still missing the green with both of those clubs anyway. Who are you kidding?
1 ball, no strikes to Park. A single, a walk, a strikeout, and a ground out on the day. That was fouled off the catcher Gomes' shin guard and went out towards the mound.
And that's certainly something that you do not see every day, but it just speaks to the great movement on the fastball from Otero. Watch this. It went off a Park.
Yep.
And that's why those guys wear those things, all the armor that they wear these days. I mean, that would have been painful had he not had that shin guard on.
I'll never forget Jermaine Dye breaking his leg on a foul ball in the playoffs when he was playing for the Oakland A's. 1 ball, 1 strike here to Park. Down low. 2-1.
And that was a discussion, of course, that we had here now in the 1st and 3rd situation. A runner in scoring position. Park has really scuffled coming into this game. You see that 0-91 slugging, just 182, despite the fact that we've seen some great power from him this year.
Worked the count in his favor at 3 balls and a strike.
And I also thought this was interesting when Paul Molitor told us before the game, where he said he has game power. Some guys have batting practice power, and I've played with plenty of those guys that can launch in BP, but not so much in the game. He said Byung-ho Park, more of a line drive hitter. He may hit a couple of deep ones here and there, but that is not his batting practice routine. That's not part of his preparation. He's not trying to show off. But in the game, he has that power, and he has shown it so far this year.
And he has shown off in the games.
Absolutely. He's got it. This guy hit 50+ home runs in Korea, and yes, it's a smaller ballpark, and the pitching is not nearly as deep as it is here in the United States, but that's legitimate power. He's got it, and it needs to be reckoned with now here by Major League pitchers.
This is the 16th full count of the game. And it's outside, ball 4. Bases are loaded. 2 outs here in the 9th. With Brian Dozier coming up.
Batting for the Twins, second baseman Brian Dozier.
Dozier looking for his first hit. Couple of ground outs, a fly out, and a hit by pitch. And Otero starts him off with a ball. 31 pitches this inning for Indians pitchers between Crockett and Otero. Broken bat, left field. Davis coming in, will make the catch, and the Twins will leave the bases loaded. But they do get a couple of more insurance runs. The Twins trying to snap an 8-game losing streak. Bottom of the 9th, 6-2 Twins. It's May 14th, but there is drama here in Cleveland. 6-2 Twins on top of the Indians, trying to snap this 8-game losing streak, trying to pick up their 3rd road win of the year. Kevin Jepsen is coming in. It is not a safe situation, but they don't care. They just want to win.
Absolutely. You think about the losing streak, the struggles here for the Twins. We talked about the difference from where they are compared to a year ago. 4 games over 500 last year through 36 games. This year has not been the case. And so now an opportunity maybe to get something started here, get off this losing streak, win this game, try to get themselves back in it. They have a mountain to climb right now in the American League Central.
Jose Ramirez will lead things off. Jepsen's first pitch fastball's in there for a strike. Ramirez had an RBI single back in the 4th, and he's flown out to left and fouled out to 3rd. Mastriani stays in the game in right field when he pinch ran for Sano. Fastball's outside, 1-1. By the way, good luck to all the marathon runners tomorrow here in Cleveland. Hopefully the weather cooperates for you as well. Fouled away. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Did you ever run a marathon before, Justin? Half, quarter, 8th marathon, nothing?
That was funny. That was a good one. I'm a sprinter.
If there was a buffet at the end, you'd run a marathon, I bet.
I tell you what, if there was a buffet at the end, that buffet would lose money if I finished a marathon. Two balls and 2 strikes. Skeeter Ramirez leading off the bottom half of the 9th inning. Popped up. Nunez going back in the outfield grass. Dozier is there, and he will make it. That wind just brought that ball back over to Dozier for the first out.
Absolutely. You look at the flags, they tell you one thing, though. A lot of times when you get in these stadiums, that wind will absolutely swirl and take the ball a couple of different ways, and it looked like this was going to be a fly out to the shortstop Nunez, but you're right, this ball kept coming back, and Brian Dozier, as good as he has been, looked like he was even taking back as he was catching that ball on his heels as he was still backpedaling. But good concentration, good play.
1 out for Marlon Byrd, who has struck out 3 times on the day. And a foul tip into the mitt of Centeno.
And you knew you could count on Marlon Byrd swinging at a first pitch strike because he doesn't want to get himself into a 2-strike count. Again, it has not worked out well for him today. When you're a little jumpy, you're struggling as he was early on the fastball and then on the breaking ball later in his 3rd at bat. Just trying to put that ball in play before you get to 2 strikes.
He puts it in play, and it's caught by Mauer at first base. Another nice play by Joe Mauer at first.
Well, that's the way it goes, right? 3 strikeouts, and then finally in your last at bat, you hit the ball hard. But there's Joe Mauer making a nice defensive play. He's done a good job at first. We talked about the play that he made earlier on Lindor back in the 4th inning, and he does it here again in the 9th against Marlon Byrd.
And now the Twins are 1 out away from snapping that 8-game losing streak. Yan Gomes 0 for 3, a couple of strikeouts, and a line out to second as the rain starts falling once again. And the first pitch is bounced foul. No balls and 1 strike.
Really had to start raining again with 2 outs in the 9th inning.
And now it's raining about as hard as it's rained all day. Foul back
here we
this
go.
way. Can I be honest? I want the foul ball, but not that one.
No, and not
that
now.
would have hurt.
Yeah, well, they're all going to hurt, Justin.
I really should start bringing my glove to these games.
Just come dressed in full uni. You got one of your Little League uniforms?
You think it still fits, huh?
I do.
Maybe your Little League uniform would fit me. 0-2 breaking ball, and that almost caught Gomes. 1 ball and 2 strikes. standing in the Twins dugout, ready to jump out, have the high fives and the handshakes. The 1-2 is pulled foul. That's what you get for sticking it out in the rain in this weather. Good for you.
It was worth it.
Another 1-2 from Jepsen. In the air, left field. Rosario came in, now goes back, and this one is gone. Yan Gomes with his second home run in as many games.
I don't know what Rosario saw off the bat, but it certainly did appear right away that Yan Gomes had gotten that ball. It's a shorter porch here in left field in Cleveland, and he just gets it out. And that might have something to do with the wind as well, because you see where Rosario was standing as you see this pitch up over the plate. Good job by Yan Gomes to get the barrel to that bat. He got under it a little bit, but just enough to get it out of here. Look at Rosario. Look where this ball ends up. He wasn't anywhere near that ball.
A 2-out home run by Yan Gomes, his 5th home run of the year. And Tyler Naquin comes to the plate with the Indians down 6-3. That's a couple times now we've seen Rosario come in on a ball, then had to retreat, and he couldn't retreat any further. Fastball is high and outside to Naquin. Fouled away, 1-1. Tyler Naquin, 2 for 2, a walk and a run scored, a couple of singles. Breaking ball, bounce foul behind the plate. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Urban Santana would pick up his first win of the year if Jepsen can finish this one off. It would be just the 9th win of the season for the Twins. In the dirt, 2-2.
You look at that winning percentage for teams on the road. The Twins just 2 wins. It's amazing with 2 teams with only 2 wins at this point in the season. So
what's also amazing, the Royals, their record on the road.
It's been a rough stretch here for the Royals, for the Astros. That starting pitching in Kansas City has been an issue. Chris Young, Chris Medlin now on the DL.
2-2. Sliced down the line. There to make the catch is Rosario, and that will do it. The Twins get a rare win on the road. Just a 3rd of the season. They snap the 8-game losing streak, and they win this one by the score of 6-3. For CJ Nitkowski and our entire crew here in Cleveland, I am Justin Kutcher saying so long from Progressive Field. Let's go to Kevin Burkhardt in LA.